All right, guys, welcome. This is going to be a banger of a space today. Hope everyone's pumped up. I know I'm pumped up. Guys, let's get this show started. So, for those who are new, THORChain is a decentralized exchange that enables you to swap Bitcoin with thousands of other cryptocurrencies, all layer one native tokens. There's no bridges, no wrap tokens, all from your self-custody wallet, the initial ethos of blockchain tech. It's the real deal. There is no KYC on THORChain. KYC means kill your customer. There's none of that. It is permissionless. THORChain's token is called RUNE, and that's spelled RUNE. You do not need to buy or hold RUNE in order to place a swap on THORChain. The fees are deducted from the swap you are using. So, for example, if you're going BTC to Ethereum, all the gas, fees, intermediary transactions are taken from the initial starting asset, which would be Bitcoin. This RUNE, the yield that you get from that, goes to liquidity pools and nodes. There are no block rewards on THORChain. 100% of the yield is real. There's another token on THORChain. It's called TCY. This token is kind of like a preferred stock. 10% of the protocol's revenue goes to these tokens. So if you deposit crypto into savers or took a loan on THORChain, make sure to claim your TCY token so you can start collecting this yield. And anyone can buy the TCY token as well. To swap on THORChain, and a little side note here, we're going to be making our own interface soon. Shout out, little alpha there. But in the interim time, go to thorchain.org, click on swap. You'll see all the wallets and websites that use THORChain. You can choose the interface that you want to use. Rujira, the topic of today's space, they are building decentralized Binance, and it is mooning today. Ruji is on fire. Rujira is the smart contract layer of THORChain. Okay, it's being rolled out as we speak. I am so excited for today's space. You guys have no idea. Speaking of decentralized Binance, if you hold RUNE on Binance or any centralized exchange, you need to withdraw that immediately and put it into self-custody because those tokens are being used to short RUNE and drive the price down on all of us. So get it off a centralized exchange, put it in self-custody, and then once you do that, look to bonding your RUNE. Use runebond.com in order to do that, or .org, I'm sorry, I misspoke. And you can connect your wallet and bond your RUNE. Do it. If you guys see what's coming, you'll do it soon. I'm telling you. There's a THORChain community Discord and Telegram you can join to learn all about THORChain and make friends. To find the links, go to THORChain at Thor Community account on X. Guys, let's get this party started. You need to repost this space, whether you're listening live or this is a recording. This is going to be a big one today. All right. We got to get as many people in here as possible. What we are building is truly incredible. No worries if you are someone new to THORChain or if you're anywhere on your THORChain or Rujira journey. This space is made specifically for you. Any and all questions will be addressed. We will go from complicated to simple. Do not be intimidated. With that being said, guys, let's get this party started. My name's Patriot Sounds. I am a content creator, educator of THORChain. Been doing it for 5 years. I love what we are building. I am so pumped up. I'm going to kick it to Kenton. Go ahead, good sir.
Thanks, Patriot. I like your intros, man. You do great at them. My name is Kenton Ralph Toes. I have a fund that is dedicated to investing in RUNE and running nodes on THORChain. So I'm a node operator and bond provider on THORChain. And I want to give you guys a little bit of alpha. Scorch and I just finished the draft version of ADR 21 to get a marketing fund approved by the nodes. We're requesting 5% of the revenue to go to this fund, just like the dev fund, so that we can put money towards marketing and sales to get people to go to the new website, fix the PR and branding of THORChain's reputation, get THORChain into the research platforms, all that good stuff. Everything everyone's been begging for the last few years. So hopefully that ADR, you'll see it in Discord next week for open the commentary period and whatnot. Yeah, so I don't want to talk about it on this space. Let's talk about it next week or something. I'm just letting you guys know. It's the first time I'm saying this publicly. So I'll give you guys this is your treat for tuning in live. And I'll pass it on to Pragmatic Monkey.
Hey guys, glad to be with you, and what an intro, Patriot. Beautiful. I love the energy always. So I'm one of the co-founder and project lead of Rujira, and I do pretty much everything that is not related to code directly. So glad to be here with you and tell you, answer any question and tell you a lot about what we have been doing lately and what's coming.
Awesome. Let's go to Nami.
Hey guys, JP here from NAMI. We're building on Rujira, utilizing all these beautiful products the core team is building. And yeah, we just released our unofficial RUNE LST, YRUNE, and also the YTCY index, as well as the Rujira index. So happy to be here. And yeah.
Perfect, man. And then we have CALC, and I know it is late for you, CALC. I believe it's very early in the morning. So I think we're probably gonna start with you, but go ahead and go with introduction, good buddy.
Cool. Cheers. Hi, I'm James. I'm the CTO and basically all rounder for CALC. We are building automated on-chain trading strategies, just like NAMI, on top of all the awesome primitives that the Rujira team's been building. And we are currently our contracts are currently in audit, and we should be going to mainnet sometime in the next week or two. So we're super pumped.
Okay. I think we got everyone introduced right now. Super excited, you guys. So Kenton, I'm thinking we'll start with CALC, and then we'll just kind of go from there. Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me. Yeah, let it rip, Cal.
All right, Cal, go for it. The floor is yours. Give everyone a rundown of what you're doing and why people should be excited.
Cool, awesome. So I'm not sure, but how many people would be familiar with CALC? We were originally deployed on Kujira. That was sort of our initial home, and we've kind of been close with the Kujira team and watched them grow and build all their great products as over the last couple of years. And so initially CALC was sort of born out of the whole Luna collapse, and we wanted to try to provide tooling to sort of retail as well as more sophisticated investors to be able to make trades and manage their money in a slightly less emotional way. So set up, automations, and then kind of trust that when they set those automations up, they were thinking clearly, and trust them to perform in ways that they don't have to be there all the time supervising their money, and that they're not going to make emotional decisions that don't work out in the long run. So we built like a DCA basically, and smart like streaming swaps tool that helped people move between positions over time. And it was quite configurable, but it was sort of quite centralized and sort of focused on swapping from one token to another under different conditions and over different timescales. But the latest evolution of CALC is a lot more general as a platform. So basically, it's a set of smart contracts that you can create trading strategies, and those trading strategies are basically built up of nodes, and each node is like an action or a condition. So it's like, do a swap, set a limit order, check if this token is a higher price than this token. There's a whole bunch of sort of small pieces of logic and action that you can build strategies out of, and then the end user kind of has all the say over like when things happen, what happens. And so it's like very much a customizable automated trading strategy platform that we've built and are continuing to build.
Is that just on the gas assets of THORChain, like the 10 different blockchains, or is DEX segregation available to that?
It's on both the L1 pools, so you can deposit. So it's using both secured assets and native assets. So you can deposit to a strategy contract directly from like Ethereum and Bitcoin. All of the trades will happen either on like the Rujira order book or via the THORChain underlying THORChain L1 pools. So we've enabled you to have access to liquidity from both of those sources.
Okay, but the pool has to exist on THORChain. Those are the only tokens.
Wait, sorry.
Restate that. Yeah, so the only tokens that you can use in CALC are the ones that are exist on a THORChain liquidity pool.
You can use all of those tokens as well as any native token on the Rujira app layer. So, for example, the NAMI token or the liquidity token,
Yeah.
or the Ruji token.
Yep. Got it. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. No worries. Yeah, I think I guess that's the high level sort of pitch. Would you like to dive into anything more specific?
You can go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Patriot.
Well, okay, so if you could just like give a rundown, like someone right now who's listening, right? If they have a similar, like, what is the unique proposition here? Like, why should they use calc over something that might do a similar function? Like, what is why is it better? Like, you know, is it because like it's not on a centralized exchange? Could you break that down a little bit? Like, why would you want to attract someone who's a third party from a different ecosystem?
Totally. Yeah, I guess there's not really that much that exists out there that does this in, like you mentioned, a decentralized non-KYC way, right? So yeah, you can maybe set up something similar with a centralized exchange, but you're obviously handing a lot of the control and the keys over to centralized exchanges, which we've seen bears a lot of risk. So this is kind of enabling a lot of the tool sets that exist in centralized exchange offerings to, far more like secure and native blockchain like ways of doing things. So all of the logic of your strategy lives in smart contracts on chain. There's no trust relationship with any external third party. You're only trusting the underlying blockchain and the code that's being audited currently by Hellborn. So like the trust relationships are completely like as native as blockchain gets, I guess.
So basically, like on Binance, someone can program their own trade bot, their own trading algorithm. That's what CALC is doing on THORChain and Rujira. You can create your own trading algorithm, your own trading bot.
Exactly. Yeah. So like the strategies that you build dictate a whole bunch of things. So you can dictate at what frequency the trades or the orders are set. You can dictate under what conditions they get set or skipped, for example. There's just so many. Each sort of action or condition has a bunch of inputs that you can customize, and then on top of that, you can kind of arrange them in almost like unlimited, orders. So I mean, you can build like a very simple example would be like a DCA strategy, right? You just want to swap from this token into that token every 30 minutes or every 30 days or every 2 weeks. But then you can kind of like start to build on that and say, okay, well, I actually want to build a grid bot. And so every 30 minutes, if the price of, Ruji is larger than 2 RUNE, then sell Ruji into RUNE. But if the inverse is true, then sell RUNE into Ruji, right? And so then you've all of a sudden, you just sit your assets in this smart contract, and you've like created like you've found some exposure to price action without having to take any action at all. And I mean that's those are 2 very simple versions of what strategies are actually possible, and we're actually really quite excited to see just what our users come up with, because there's so many different ways that you can put these things together.
Actually, that sparked 2 questions. One is playing off what you just said. So will people actually be able, because this is all open source, right? Will people be able to see the other algorithms and bots that other people have created and copy and paste them if they want? And the second part of my question is, can you tie into like perps trading in the lending? Like, is it all the features that Rujira has to offer you can somehow put into this algorithm?
Yeah, so to answer the first question, yeah, all of the strategies are stored on chain, and all the data on chain is obviously totally publicly available. So yes, you can totally like see what other people are doing, get inspiration for that, create like just totally copy their configuration and generate a strategy for yourself that's doing the exact same thing, or you could tweak it, in certain ways to just adjust it. So yeah, I think like there'll definitely be a lot of like template strategies that we'll build and help you sort of onboard to Calc. And then I think hopefully our community just really gets creative with it and shares them too. The second question, what was the second question?
Will you be able to
Gonna
access
use all the
perps?
primitives.
Yep.
Oh, right. Yeah. So yeah, the way that we've built it is that like there's like a generalized strategy execution layer, I guess, and that's kind of agnostic to the actual actions that are happening underneath. And then we have built, like the actual wrappers to interact with different parts of the underlying primitives that Rujira has built. So we only offer interactions with particular parts of the platform that we've actually developed the implementation for. So at the moment, it's purely just swaps on either Fin or on the underlying THORChain order book, limit orders on the Rujira order books, and just sending assets to different addresses and executing other contracts. So those are kind of the four sort of actions that we have at the moment, and those are going through audit at the moment. But I think as soon as we have the contracts live and the front end live, and we're starting to once we get this first cut out and live and tested and running really well, the next thing to do is just totally start picking up on all the new primitives that are showing up in the Rujira ecosystem. So I think the strategies will only become more and more advanced and capable as we go on.
So I'm curious. The hedge funds that run the higher PhDs and mathematicians that come up with these trading algorithms, it's extremely secretive. All kinds of NDAs are signed, and they're very cautious about sharing their data on this algorithm, because if it works, it really works, and they don't want anyone else to use it. And then because if everybody else gets access to it and starts using it, then it stops working. So I'm curious if traders are coming up with their algorithms, they don't want other people to see it and use it, because then they take their alpha basically. Is there a pathway to make the algorithms not public? Is there a way to protect people's privacy with them, so they don't?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think that maybe there's an avenue to providing or storing the strategies in a more encrypted way.
I'll jump in. So we are also strike a partnership with a protocol called Redacted, which is gonna build the privacy layer for Rujira. And what they will allow you to do is effectively create a shield account where you can just deposit funds into it, and then whatever interact with any other apps on the app layer, including Calc. And whatever happened from this shield account, nobody can see the detail of it. It's protected by zero knowledge proof. And at an aggregate level, people will still see this this contract or this X or Y position, but everybody's position in commingle all together, and nobody can see the detail of anything other than the aggregated balance of the contract. So that would provide a way to do private DCA and other strategy with Calc.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I think, I think the problem of solving the privacy issue is probably outside of our particular domain. But yeah, if Rujira layer is providing these tools, or other protocols are providing those tools, then that would be absolutely fantastic. Because I agree, the publicity thing is an issue. I do also think though that a lot of the calc strategies are not necessarily living in the same sort of family of trading algorithms that hedge fund trading algorithms are. They're not quite as complex and as I guess detailed and sensitive as some of those algorithms are. They are the building blocks. Although you can combine the building blocks in all sorts of super imaginative ways, it is still constrained by some things that you can only do that you can't do outside of smart contracts. So we can't just be as responsive and as specific with the algorithms implementation as like something that's totally running off chain and is purely like private. Yeah, so there are some particular constraints that I think that, you know, the privacy concerns of the algorithms are probably a little lower. Like there's not so much IP that will be being built into these algorithms. I think they're more like just useful ways for people to set up automations rather than to like really get a fine edge on like huge or like high trading level algorithms. I guess there's kind of two different families of trading algorithm, and we're kind of not in the same boat as those hedge fund types.
Yeah, so if I'm trying to trade the ETH to Bitcoin ratio and just certain points, it's not like anyone's going to front run me or scalp me or anything like that. It's a pretty simple thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Pragmatic. Did you this redacted? Is it something like is being worked on? It's going to happen for sure. It's going to take a year or two. Will people have to pay? Like, would CALC have to then? Does everyone have to pay to use it, or is it kind of default? It's just free for all the different.
No, it will have a fee. So it will be it's an independent project. So it will not be part of the Rujira Alliance, and they will have their own fee on top. The fee then though we will work like super closely, and we'll have to find the optimal that what is this extra premium people are willing to pay for privacy. And the idea is we'll allow to include it everywhere, like from the UI. Effectively, the vision here is to have like a toggle, like a privacy, private, not private, and almost like you can just toggle it. It will add a little privacy fee on top, but then you can do your action in a private way. So that's the end vision. The team building that, so as they had already a live deployment on Arbitrum, so EVM contract. They need to port that to Cosmosm. They have started this process, but yeah, they were looking to raise capital, which has been taking a bit of their time. We are trying to accelerate that with probably a grant or something like that, or an investment we'll do ourselves from the treasury, and then yeah. So again, like I really don't like when people ask for timeline, because every time we give some, it's software development, it never goes as planned, and then people get pissed off. But that's something that we should have live before. I would really expect before the end of the year, and hopefully before that. But no hard commitment on that.
Perfect. Awesome. And guys, this is really exciting stuff. I mean, to really zoom out here, this is decentralized Binance being made in real time. I mean, legitimately, it's not like a meme or something like this. This is all happening in real time. All of the information is on chain. And I've talked to Kenton in the background. I mean, that's just the really exciting thing. The big difference, the big 0 to 1 between what we are collectively building between THORChain and Rujira, when you juxtapose it against a centralized exchange, is that all data is on chain. There's no funny business. There really is, you know, it's not like, you know, on a centralized exchange what's happening in the background, right? So absolutely incredible. And these are the early days. Early days is being built in real time. You know, I'm not someone who likes to give price projections or anything like that, but I think we have something truly magnificent being built. I am so unbelievably appreciative and thankful and excited for everyone in this room. Please share this space. Let's get some more people in here. They need to hear this information, whether this is live or the recording. Share the space. CALC, that was awesome. I really appreciate that. That sounds really, really cool. And I think a lot of people are going to be really excited to use the toolings that you have. I mean, that sounds like a really good emancipator for everyone, right? Because as Kenton was talking about, usually these are tools that are not really provided by, you know, the average person, and being on chain. It's going to be interesting to see the rapid onset of innovation as people like build on top of each other. So that's really, really cool. Okay, I think we did it pretty good on CALC. You know, this is an open conversation, you guys. NAMI, Pragmatic, CALC. If you guys want to jump in anytime and comment on something else, please feel free. But I think we'll kick it to NAMI real quick. Go ahead, NAMI. We'll get you going.
Hey, just before we go to NAMI itself, I just want to say I have used CALC extensively on Rujira, because I think one thing everybody needs to understand is it makes possible make it like for everyone to get in and out of positions in a smart and calculated way. I guess that was also the slogan back then. I don't know if it's still, but yeah, like you don't need to ape in and out. You don't need to lose. I used a lot the weighted DCA in and out, so that if something pumps, you sell a bit more. If it slows down, you sell a bit less. Like there was so many cool tools. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that. I just want to like hit it out here. Very helpful, and it will make you money if you use it correctly, for sure.
I echo that, and I have to say I also love the weighted DCA feature, which it's just great. Like effectively, if you want to buy a token or sell, you can just set some parameters to define how aggressive or not you want to be, and then you effectively have a trade-off between time of execution and price optimization, and you can so go for a longer term time scale strategy. You can set a fairly high amplitude for the move, and if the price deviates from the moment you start to the upside and you are selling, if it's just a bit, you will be selling very little, but it gets further and further away from your starting point, you will be selling more and more. And then you can loop strategies and say, okay, now my proceeds, I want to reinvest them, but you do the other way around. I want to invest more when it drops a lot. And that's very cool, because then you can create loops that just keep trading from themselves. And it's very good as a user. Like if you are patient and you play the long-term volatility in crypto, there is money to be made there. And it's also very helpful for the protocol, because it stimulates economic activity. It creates recurring swaps. So very excited. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. I just one thing. I guess like firstly, thanks for saying all that, and I can't wait to show you guys what Calc is like. Calc V2 is going to be capable of. Like it's a whole new level of functionality. And the other thing that's really cool, I think, is that Calc itself actually takes no fees on trades. It only takes fees on like withdrawals from the strategy contracts. So, and you can update your strategy contracts. So you can just park a bunch of capital in there, trade a whole bunch of tokens and realize a whole bunch of upside from your strategies, and pay 0 extra fees until you actually withdraw that capital. So that's something like we really want to incentivize people to develop and use these strategies over the long term.
Yeah, that's new info to me. I thought last time we discussed fee structure, it was still a fee on each swap. This is actually very interesting, because it means you can also, the lower the fee, of course, the lower the friction and the more high frequency stuff you can do with as long as you set rules that make your strategy profitable. That means you can start to do have more higher velocity strategy on smaller time frames. This is very cool. Glad to hear.
Yeah, totally. That's the point, right? Is to get people using the strategies to do a lot on chain and not have to like always be factoring the fact that they're paying for that automation. So yeah, no, we can't wait. We can't wait to go live. We're super pumped.
And once we have the affiliate framework in place, or the referral in that case, you could even monetize that without extra cost for the user and still like take a up to 10% cut on protocol fees on your side. So I think that's also a very good way to maximize activity and while still monetizing your product.
Yeah, totally. We actually don't have to wait. We already built into our product, I guess, the ability to pass in an affiliate address, so we can totally like incentivize all sorts of integrators, I guess, to share.
So it will be two levels. You will have your own incentive program to incentivize third party to use your product, but you will also be able to put in a calc referral code in there, and then take a cut of Rujira protocol revenue that will go to calc. Yeah, so that's the vision. With I mean, it's still again like this hasn't been designed. Like I've just spec'd out how ideally I would like that to work. Now we need to see in terms of contract how feasible it is, because the latest system is fairly complex. But if we can make it to the specs, it will be very, very powerful, and this will allow that. To some form, it will be there for sure. To the extent I don't know, but I have made a public. There is an issue on GitLab where you can read and learn about a bit more about the design of the envisioned design of this framework.
Man, this is so exciting, and it's kind of funny that we're just learning from each other live on the Twitter Spaces about all the new things that are coming out, which is cool.
That's how we do it. That's how we do it, boys. We get friggin' alpha dropping up here all the time. Kenton literally started the show off by dropping his own alpha. Now we just figure out alpha as we go. That's how it rolls on these spaces, you guys. That's why you got to listen. Either recording the live thing. Actually shared something up top. I made a post about Rujira, and Perps is really taken off, you guys. And it's only got 101 people at the time. Now it's up to 105. Absolutely incredible. For those who can't see it, because if you're listening to the recording, you can go to rujiraperps.com. That's RUJIPERPS.com. Rujiraperps.com. You can click stats, get involved. Really cool, you guys. I'm really excited.
Calc, you said you're going to go live soon. When do you expect to go live?
So our contracts, our smart contracts are currently going through audit phase. So that should wrap up early next week. And then there's sort of two paths to going live for us at this stage. We're hoping to do some like native integration with the Rujira front end, as well as build out our own front end. And so those two sort of paths are currently underway. But as PM outlined before, pretty wary of giving hard dates because we don't want to let anyone down. But hopefully sort of a month at most, you should be able to jump in and use calc strategies in all sorts of cool ways.
But how about this? You expect to be fully up and running by the end of the year?
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh,
okay. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else you want to go over that we haven't talked about?
No, actually, I think we've covered most of it. Yeah, obviously, like there's a lot, but I think like we could enumerate all the details of everything, and it wouldn't. Our marginal return on all that time would decline pretty quickly. So I think we've covered the most important stuff.
Maybe we could do a repeat. We could do a repeat episode, man. As you get more developed, as more things come online, we'll do another space and we'll have you up and we'll talk about it again, man. So I love it.
Very keen.
Amazing. So I'll jump in. We were starting to talk about NAMI. So what's NAMI? I think a little history lesson. We started on Kujira with a vision of a yield optimizer / very straightforward, like a sustainable anchor from the UI UX, earn single-sided yield that everybody can understand simply to draw in users. Now we are here, so we went through all the ups and downs, built up a very nice and talented team controlling the whole stack. So now it's getting more and more complicated as we have added more and more products. So I think there's three things that we can mention right now that we're working on. One, which is live already, is Ruji Index / NAMI Index. You will see the account somewhere. Go follow it for the index news, which is basically bringing baskets of assets, rebalancing or not rebalancing. There's both on chain, and we have three live at the moment. One is RJI, the Rujira Index, which basically covers all the tokens, all the native THORChain / Rujira tokens that are on Rujira network / THORChain, and it's not a rebalancing index. So this will track the growth, the vertical and the horizontal growth of the whole Rujira ecosystem. So whenever there's a new token, we will try to add it to the index with a specific weight, and then over time, if you are a holder of RJI, you will participate in both vertical and horizontal growth of the network. Why RUNE and YTCY are kind of, we say to why RUNE, we say the unofficial RUNE LST because it's a bit funny. It is a trading strategy around the economic relationship of RUNE and TCY. One with 80% RUNE and 20% TCY, and the other one with 20% RUNE and 80% TCY. So they are mirrored, and they receive TCY staking rewards and as well like trade around a 1% TVL difference. So it's kind of like it's a trading strategy that is supercharged by TCY staking rewards. So like we are drawing everywhere. We are using URG trade. We are using the TCY staking rewards. We are drawing from everywhere. We're trying to do everything. Hopefully, at some point, use calc inside. As soon as they're live, we're starting to look into to optimize the execution of the rebalances and so on. So yeah, we are everywhere. This is RUGI index. for now.
Is it fair to kind of so NAMI is a suite of proprietary indexes, like you guys create these indexes and offer to people, and then calc would be like, if I want to go build my own index, I can go use calc and create my own strategy. Is that a good way to compare the two?
I don't know, but let's say we create an index. We also have on the roadmap to create custom, like for people to create their own, but we will use calc on a contract level to optimize the execution of swapping and so on, because you can do some streaming swaps, whatever. You don't need to do a market order if that's like for now it's a market order, because otherwise, yeah, you can't really do it, which is always the worst type of order, I guess.
Yeah, and so it's going back to your RUNE TCY indexes. You said it's 80-20, so that's by dollar value, and then
Yeah, correct.
And then it rebalances once it gets 1% out of whack, and then it rebalances. Is that what she said?
Yeah, correct. So we have a crank running every minute that checks if the weight is inside a threshold. The threshold is set to 1 currently. If it deviates more than 1%, it rebalances back to the 80-20 rule. Weight.
It'll be interesting to see which one of those indexes performs over time. In theory, one should outperform the other, right? It should be one should be a clear winner.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much also depends on obviously when you enter, when you want to exit, what type of market, what's the horizon. Like, yeah, we will see. It's very much same questions that we ask ourselves.
How did you
TCY is outperforming.
How did you come up with 80-20? You just pull it out of the air, or is there any kind of reasoning behind that?
Yeah, we ran a few calculations from 50-50 doesn't really make any sense, but like from 60-40 up to 90-10, and we found that like the back testing on the data that we had was sufficient. And for now we said, okay, 80-20 is the best one, so we go with it. But if we see that there's any need of optimization, we can obviously change the weights and optimize that one. So we are monitoring that based on historic data now.
Cool. And so NAMI, so this index, these are live now. So now like these.
Yeah, these are live. Like head to rujira.network/index, very easy. And like take a look. Choose your side, choose your pick. I definitely recommend some RJI, which is up thanks to the Ruji pump when the market is down. Yeah, and take a look. We have docs at docs.namifi.app, so you'll see some linking here and there. Also docs on the Rujira network side, Telegram groups, whatever. We are everywhere. Ask your question, and we come and answer.
Very cool. I'm gonna only hands. You had your hand up for a second. Did you have a question for NAMI?
Yes, I had a question for NAMI regarding how does YTCY compare to the auto-compounder of TCY in terms of like yield? Because I read some people in the community, they say that YTCY is outperforming the TCY auto-compounder. So I was wondering how they do it. Maybe JP can expand more on that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, now there's a mechanism to it. So now, like yesterday or the 2 days right now, there was quite a lot of volatility. So the strategy kicked in. So I think the last 3 days we already made around 1% yield on the index. So if you would calculate that up to a year, so if you analyze that, that will be quite massive. Obviously, it won't be because it goes both directions. But the YTCY itself receives staking rewards for 80% of its value. So it gets more RUNE every day. Gets more RUNE. So the weight automatically drifts, even if the market doesn't do something. And then you will buy back some TCY with that RUNE once the weight is different. And then obviously the market swings come on top, and it starts to get crazy.
Awesome. Perfect. This is great. I think, and I think this is a great time to actually pivot to Pragmatic Monkey because, you know, at CALC and NAMI, and you guys are just, you know, an aspect of the overall ecosystem, what we're building here. It's incredible. And then I think
If you give me,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. If you give me 2 seconds more, we have 2 other products that just I will
Oh,
go
absolutely.
on.
I'm
One
sorry.
thing, yeah, one thing is Unifi. Unifi will be live very soon as a lending market is out, which will make using Rujira way more easier because you don't need to understand from which network you're bringing on your USDC. So if you deposit USDC from whatever network you come, you will get the correct version of USDC on Rujira network. If you can opt out if you want to do some special stuff, but default is you get the right version and you are ready to go. Too many tickets we had. I came from Base, but I can't see the USDC because, as you might know, the USDC is the Ethereum secured one because it has the deepest depth. So this will be live very soon. And the third thing, once the borrowing side of the lending market is live, and we have a bit more economic activity, is the yield optimizer again. So single-sided yield, the best single-sided yield that you can find on Rujira. So if you give us, for example, your Bitcoin, then our contracts and our algorithms will calculate where it can earn the most on the network at this point in time and allocate the funds to the correct yield sources, and then we'll rebalance them in between. This one is probably the most difficult product that we have because the algorithm is very heavy because every time you rebalance that is cost and so on and so on. So yeah, these are like the 3 things. Basically, we try to make Rujira network as easy and as understandable and as profitable for everyone, as it can be.
And that's I just doubled down on that. I mean, all NAMI products are great, honestly, but the earn product is, I think, would have a particular importance because we already see feedback. Like we are barely live now, but the strategy page, which is meant to act as a kind of app store with all the strategies, it's gonna get more and more crowded over time. It's gonna be difficult for people who are not experienced and don't know exactly what they are looking for to find the right the right product for them. And having something like NAMI Earn, a single vault where you just deposit and you know it optimizes allocation for you, and you put BTC in, you get BTC out, and you get a yield in BTC, and there is no EL loss, and maybe there is a bit of drawdown risk depending on the strategy that I exposed, but if it's done well and diversify appropriately, this should not even like eat you if you are here for more than a few days. And that's gonna be key because then we can just like this is the layer that's gonna be marketed to a broader audience. Like just okay, you have a saving vault, put your money there and earn on your USDC or on your BTC. And detailed strategy are more for like advanced DeFi user, but which in the long run should be, and when I said long run, I mean in a time frame of years. This should, if DeFi wins, this should be a very minority of the people.
Guys, I'm getting flashbacks of Savers. How is this different?
Saver was built on a terrible mechanic. Saver was allowing you to effectively deposit single-sided, but in the backend, it was swapping half of your deposit for RUNE and providing market with that in the form of cents. And then the cents were creating this leverage in those LP pool. And if RUNE wasn't outperforming whatever the asset it was paired with, it would create a liability that could expand to infinity potentially for the protocol. And so that was a very bad economic design because it was built on the flow-dead assumption that RUNE will always outperform. Here, I mean, somebody could design a protocol with the same mechanic, but so far none of the protocol on Rujira have such like inflationary mechanics and taking this type of bets. And then it's also the job of NAMI Earn, like to, if there is a strategy that they deem risky, not provide that to their user because they are not people who, like they want something simple and they don't want to take risks they are not understanding. So it's very different. The name is the same or similar, but what matters is not the name. The name is just a description of what it is. And what it is, it's saving account in denominated in a given currency. What matters is how the mechanic under the hood work.
I mean, guess that's why we called it earn, to not like trigger the ultimate PTSD. But to be very frank, we don't offer yield that is not there. Like we use the strategies that we vet. That's one reason, for example, why we can't use providing liquidity to perps in the beginning. I don't know what's the plan there, but for now, if you deposit liquidity, you are locked for 48 hours. And this is something that we cannot take in account because if somebody wants to exit, like one rule that we have, if you want to withdraw, you need to be able to withdraw. Like there cannot be a time where you get locked up because this is a product everybody needs to understand and feel safe to use. Because then we can maximize the economic value on Rujira, and all the professional people doing the DeFi can use their capital or however it's allocated, right?
Okay,
But
guys, help me out here. My small brain catch up. So I put in 1 Bitcoin into this, and I'm starting some yield, some interest. What happens to my 1 Bitcoin? What is it being sold? Is it being converted into something?
Yeah, let's make a simple example. Let's say you have 3 lending vaults, like secured Bitcoin from Coinbase, and whereas from Ethereum, whatever. Like you have these 3 Bitcoin vaults. Obviously, they have a different risk profile regarding the custodian they come from. But
are you talking? Sorry to interrupt you. Are you talking about wrapped tokens, like wrapped Bitcoin?
Yeah, for example, wrapped Bitcoin, but as a secured version on Rujira, like from Ethereum. Like we can have 3 of those lending vaults, right? We can have the native one from Bitcoin, we can have the wrapped one from Ethereum, and the Coinbase version from Base, for example.
Yeah, gotcha.
You can lend them out and you can earn yield on this because of their different risk profiles in terms of custody and in terms of how you want, like infrastructure, let's say. Usually they have a different yield. If you look at lending markets. So what we do is then, okay, we take this Bitcoin that you have and we check, okay, out of these 3 pools, if we just use the lending, what would be the best combination or the best split of this Bitcoin if it needs to be split? Perhaps it's just 100% native Bitcoin, and deposit, like convert them to these 3 versions, deposit them into the vaults. We can pre-compute that because we know the underlying math of the lending and borrowing yield. So we know if we put this in, what is the output yield? And yeah, like this is how we go about it, for an example. But you will never risk to be out of your assets. So if you bring in Bitcoin, you will always stay in Bitcoin, even though it is different versions, if it's understandable.
And another opportunity is there, because I don't know if we will have landing vault for the wrap version of BTC, but what we will have for sure is a consolidated strategy for the different variant of BTC. Most likely will be an orbital pool. And then what NAMI can do is part of it is allocated to a native BTC landing and part is allocated into the orbital BTC orbital pool with those different variants. And then you get 2 sources of yields with, in theory, no impermanent loss. In practice, of course, if one of the wrap version goes south, then you can have impermanent loss and capital loss. But then you just need to disclose that correctly to the users, as they will also be exposed to a variation of the same asset wrapped by a centralized intermediary. And if they are fine to take that risk to get a yield, then it's a great product.
So, okay, I deposit my 1 Bitcoin. It is being lent out for interest, and I get a piece of that interest. That's where my yield is coming from. But because this is collateralized lending, so that how do I say this? Sorry guys, I'm brain farting. How to say this? Like the person borrowing the Bitcoin, they will get like margin called, basically, like to pay back the loan, so that
Yeah,
for
it's an
lending it out.
over-collateralized lending market, right? So you need to put the collateral up first, and then you have this beautiful engine Orca. I guess then PM will come back to it, or Liquidate. That will handle all this liquidation if it's necessary. But yeah, if you are over your collateralization, you get liquidated, or close to, you get liquidated, and your debt is paid back.
So
That's
if
how it goes.
in a bad scenario where all these loans are liquidated, it's the borrower who loses. Kenton, the depositor, the saver who put my 1 Bitcoin, I don't lose. I still have my Bitcoin.
Correct. If we make sure we don't repeat what has happened, there needs to be enough liquidity accessible to, like, obviously use the Orca liquidation mechanism and buy up the collateral that needs to be liquidated. But on Orca is very easy, and you can get it for 30% as a discount. So it's very attractive also for arbitrageurs and so on. So I guess it's
So yeah, on that, like it's a different concept. It's a concept of solvability of the lending protocol, and yeah, what we will do going forward, like first, so your risk on this, if you lend like very high liquidity, high quality asset like Bitcoin is, or that, realistically you will always have enough liquidity to liquidate your collateral. We should still have some caps and measure, and in case like Rujira becomes the biggest lender, bigger than NAMI and all that, this will become more a concern, but we have like plenty of margin. Where you have to be very careful is on smaller liquidity tokens. And what matters at the end is to always make sure that you have enough liquidity on chain to guarantee orderly liquidation, meaning if somebody buy your collateral at a discount and sell it, the price impact of selling with a market order should never exceed the max discount you can bought for. And that's something we know and are very well aware, because this absence of taking that into account back in the day on Kujira is what created the liquidation cascade on Kuji collateral that actually lead us today. So it was not all bad, but this is a risk really for lower liquidity token, and we will be mindful to have the proper guardrail in place. But for NAMI, like this is not a concern, and for large cap or stablecoin, shouldn't be a concern as well.
So if let's go back to the like wrapped Bitcoin on Base, wrapped Bitcoin on Ethereum. You know, if I put in my 1 Bitcoin and you're now splitting it up amongst all these different wrapped Bitcoins or different blockchains, that is a risk factor, right? Like what if Coinbase's wrapped Bitcoin blows up? What if, you know, Justin's son running WBTC, right? People are skeptical of it now, right? You know, if one of these wrapped Bitcoins blow up for whatever reason, then that does have a, you know, cascade risk effect to, you know, this earn program.
absolutely.
Is there, well, I guess first off, hopefully this will be very clear to people entering. And second, is there a way to opt out of that? You know, I don't want to have my Bitcoin commingled with these wrapped tokens. I only want my Bitcoin being exposed to Bitcoin. And maybe you can have different tiers of interest, you know, depending on the level of risk you're willing to accept.
I mean, actually, that's quite a nice idea. I haven't thought about that yet. Depends a bit on how many different yield sources we have just for Bitcoin then, and to monitor a bit. In the beginning, it wouldn't make sense for us to implement it because you could just lend out your Bitcoin yourself in this one native Bitcoin lending pool. You will find it under strategies. But if we have more like the orbital one and so on, and they are not connected, okay, the orbital one is a bad example of this, then it does make sense. But yeah, nice input.
I'm you know, I'm a free market guy, you know, if people want to pay for it, give it to them, right? But at the same time, I think one of the biggest problems with THORChain savers and lending is just people they just had no friggin' clue. And I'm like, I mean, you know, there's only so much you can do to protect people from themselves, right? But you know, I think everyone in this ecosystem, you know, we've all seen bad things happen in crypto, and we know, none of us want that, right? We're all trying to build the better future, the better world, the better versions. And I think a simple part of that is just being clear of what people are getting into. Like when they go click buy or click send or click whatever, that is pretty darn clear in their face what they're doing. And then, you know, that'll lead that, you know, then it's buyer beware, right? You know, we did our best to try and make you guys understand what's going on, and after that, it's your own responsibility. But like on savers in lending, it didn't really exist. You know, there was no. I think too many people just had no idea what they're doing. So just kind of hopefully you guys take that to heart, that you can display this info, like what's really happening behind the scenes when people do this.
Fully agree. I think we all came a long journey. I mean, I wasn't directly affected by the Savers debacle, but I was affected by Anchor and our old home chain. So yeah, definitely one thing that we want to make clear is you understand what you're getting into. That's the main goal here.
And then to keep going with this, so another part of the yield you said would be like Bitcoin pools on Rujira. Okay, so where does the impermanent loss go? If it doesn't go to me, the person saving Bitcoin, who's stomaching that impermanent loss?
So
So
I gave this
when-
example, so I'll take this one. I mentioned the orbital pool for concentrated strategy. So there will be, this is a specific strategy originally designed for stable coins. So it's meant for correlated assets. So you will have in your strategy Bitcoin, the native Bitcoin, in a secure asset, wrapped Bitcoin, and CB Bitcoin wrapped by Coinbase. And those are three variations of Bitcoin, and it will allow you to make market, anybody that deposit in there to make market between those variations. So anyone who want to swap one version for another, because I don't know, they had a wrapped version on Ethereum and now they want the native stuff on THORChain. Well, they will be able to tap not just in the base layer pool liquidity, but also in the app layer pool liquidity. And with this strategy that is much more efficient, we should be able to facilitate more size with a lower price impact versus the XYK pools on the app layer, on the base layer. And so when you provide liquidity in this correlated strategy, you don't have impermanent loss, because impermanent loss is something you incur only when you have two assets that are not correlated and when you have price divergence from the moment you enter versus the moment you exit. So not applicable here unless one of the variants collapse and go to zero or depeg significantly.
Got it. Okay, got it. Cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Well, about the THORChain side here. So, if we're going to have like lending and things like that, I know, we've talked about the security posture of THORChain quite a lot. And I think, me and Kenton specifically, we're comfortable with, the opening up the security budget. But is there something node operators should know in terms, like, Rujira is just getting started, like, and Rujira obviously it moved 50%. Things are a lot of people are going to be learning about Rujira. It's going to be a lot of hype. Do you foresee node operators having to, it's hard to predict, but like if node operators are listening to this, would you like to convey something to them relative to Rujira's design and scale? Like, could you talk about that, maybe Pragmatic?
Well, I think we have covered this topic in the past, but node operator. So first on the security budget, for now we have plenty of room, so there is no issue there. And now we have also this MIMI parameters that allow us to give a bit more flexibility. So the TVL cap, you can multiply it by a certain multiplier and get, instead of having to have a one-to-one backing, you can get to 1.5 to 1 or whatever you want. So it gives us flexibility. So we can use this lever going forward if need be, and that's great. You also, of course, like the raise the bond campaign and all that has provided a ton of security. So for now, there is no issue on this side. And then you were asking about the specific design of the app layer. So remember, we have this separation of concern principle, which means that a smart contract on the app layer can only do things that a regular user could do on THORChain. Nothing more, nothing less, no special permission. So it means that anything you will do with smart contracts is something you could replicate being a human, except that you will not automatize it, and so you will be very slow, or there will be certain things that you can't do just because of speed constraint or number of transactions you have to do at the same time constraint. But it's the exact same thing. So there is no additional risk introduced directly by having the app layer. But then, of course, what could happen is all the smart contracts, sure, they are audited and we review them and all this, but reality shows that there's always issues that are missed, and at some point, for sure, there will be some bug, and they can be even exploit, or who knows. We have the chain that we are built with Cosmosm tech, which smart contract written in Rust, which is a formal language, which is much more resilient than what you would find on EVM chain. You cannot have, for example, reentrancy attacks, which are the most common way of exploiting smart contract. So it gives a certain level of comfort, but there is still like a ton of risk, and an exploit could happen. And if or when this happens, THORChain node operator have the option via Mimir to pause either a specific smart contract or the entire app layer. And so that's just something like to keep in mind, and hoping that some node operator will have monitoring in place. And if something suspect is detected, they can pause the contract. Of course, the team with admin rights, the team who deploy the contract, should also be able to do that, but it gives an extra layer of security, allowing to prevent potentially lose of funds in case of such event.
Right. And, I don't want to beat that horse. I know we've gone on Spaces and talked about it for 4 hours, but I just wanted you to cover that again, because I'd be surprised. I'm surprised often how many people ask me these questions. And I know not every person listening to Spaces, I wish they did, but I appreciate you breaking that down. Kenton, I think you were going to jump in there. I want to kick it to you.
Yeah, maybe should we bring up the outbound delay? Now a good time to chat about it, you guys?
Sure.
So maybe before we change the conversation, just see if anybody want to keep going what we're already talking about. So I was in Discord saying that the THORChain Discord saying we got to get rid of the outbound delay on THORChain. Just to remind people what that is like trades used to settle on THORChain very quickly. Like basically the time it would take would just be whatever the block times on the two different blockchains that you're trading between. And then in June 21, when we had like 3 hacks within a week, that's what, THORChain shut down for like 2 months while the devs went back to the drawing board to fix things, what happened, blah, blah, blah. And from that came out some, a whole change in security posture. And just remind people, those it really bugs me when people criticize THORChain for those hacks. Like those hacks were, it was THORChain was on a phased rollout. It was a controlled release, slowly, increasing the room and the liquidity pools to see just how is this working in the wild, and if there is any exploits that they could be contained, and the treasury would pay people back. So it was like a soft opening at a restaurant where you have your family and friends come and you just iron out your processes. So in a roundabout way, those hacks were a good thing, because you can hire all the people in the world to audit code. They're not going to find stuff. It's when thieves, somebody trying to steal something, they're the real auditors. And so if you can think about it, like if you're a billionaire and you want to build a safe for your house to put your $1 billion in, as soon as it's done, the people building the safe, of course, they're going to tell you it's secure, it can't be stolen. But before you put your $1 billion in it, maybe you put in 5 million, and you go to all the thieves in the world and, hey, if you can steal this, you can keep it. And what they do is they audit the safe for you. And so if they actually are able to steal it, you can go back to the person building the safe, like, hey, this is the weak part, you need to fix it. Okay, shoot. Okay, we will. That's basically what happened with THORChain, is that we had thieves point out the weak points in THORChain so that we could fix them. And so one of those fixes was an outbound delay, in that instead of having the trade settle very quickly, now it takes up to an hour. And that gives the nodes and the community time to see if these transactions are legitimate, if they're a hacker or whatever. And so that's been in place now for 4 years. And I'm of the opinion that it actually is hurting THORChain more than helping, because it makes it harder for bad guys to use THORChain. It also makes it harder for good guys to use it too. And I think it's the equivalent of, you leave your house and you get, you stub your toe. I'm like, okay, well, I'm never going to leave the house again. And it's like, well, it's life. You have to expose yourself to risk if you want to live. And THORChain needs to expose itself to risk if it wants to grow. It's just that simple. The harder we make it for hackers to take from us, the harder we make it for honest people to use it. And that those hacks in June were just on the Ethereum router, and in the code there was like, hey, this hasn't been reviewed yet. Like, this needs some more work. It's something to that extent. Like, it's basically a giant flag to hackers. Hey, come take a look at this and exploit it. And I think the real problem was just code was rushed. It just went live too soon. Whereas the code and all the other pools, everything else was fine. There was no issues on any other pools. It was just the Ethereum router. And so all that was fixed. All that went over with a fine-tooth comb, tested. We've been testing stuff for years. Everything gets tested on StageNet before it goes out. I think THORChain has these training wheels and elbow pads and knee pads and helmets on and foam padding and like all this stuff, and it's like really slowing us down. So I think the outbound delay has to go. And somebody did bring up a good criticism or comment, is like, well, what about with app layer coming out? And you just said it, pragmatic, there could be some vulnerabilities there. So I'm curious what you think about removing the outbound delay with app layer coming up and rolling out. Do we still need to keep it? Should we reduce it? We want to make the user experience better. Yeah, what do you guys think?
Yeah, so I'll give you my personal opinion. And it's exactly the counterpoint you were saying. So I think if THORChain would have continued exactly with the status quo after 4 years of having those training wheels, it would make total sense to remove them. In the effect, you have been surviving for 4 years, so the likelihood of you surviving another day is increasing exponentially. With the app layer, it changed the game a lot. Smart contracts are complex. We are building very complex systems that all work together. Sure, it's Rust and it's great and it's more secure, but there are still a ton of risks. And for me, having this outbound delay for the first few years, at least like another year or two, maybe 3, I don't know, but just the time that we put really all the pieces together and grow the TVL and the economic activity, and we can start to become these big honeypots that really attract hackers, and they try to break their to steal some fund, and maybe they break their team, maybe they break ours, I don't know, but at least we see the cracks, we fix them, and once we have had a long enough period without any incidents, we can, and things are not moving as fast as they were initially, then I think we can have again this conversation. But right now, my personal preference would be in keeping this outbound delay, because it's kind of a superpower if you think about it. It means that even if there is an exploit on the app layer, as long as some node operator reacts fast enough, and so you are saying it's 1 hour delay fixed. So we could just say, okay, actually, give me also an idea of how we could kind of find a middle ground here. But you could say, okay, as long as there is another operator that detects the issue and makes this pause within 1 hour after the exploit, which normally it takes way less than that to realize something went wrong and ring the bell. Then we have the superpowers that we can block the funds and we can see what we do. We can prevent them from leaving the network. Of course, if you are a decentralization purist, you should say, no, fuck that. We are not gonna do anything to recover, not migrate smart contract, not do the code is low and the hacker did not see wrong by exploiting poorly written codes. You can take this stance. In that case, you can remove the outbound delay anyway. But otherwise, if we are willing to act and try to make good for our users, to patch something that was not supposed to be an intended consequence, and I think that's the way to go. And by the way, that's the road that THORChain has taken in the past already. If you look at TCY, for example, which was a way to patch a flooded design that's resulted in bad debt. So there is a precedent for that. I think we could have the same approach for the app layer, and that gives a very nice level of comfort for everyone, but for the user mostly, like well, for the teams as well. Like if you know that, yeah, if funds can be blocked if they are misappropriated and redistributed, it's not the same as one mistake and it's all gone. So yeah, I would very much favor keeping it for a while.
I think there's a middle ground here.
And yeah, so exactly. Sorry, thanks for that. So it could be a middle ground where you actually, instead of having a fixed outbound delay, you scale the outbound delay with the size of the transaction. And so below a certain threshold, maybe you have no outbound delay at all, but above, and maybe you have no outbound delay at all, but ideally you will have still like a 1 hour time weighted average of how much you have an address as outbound, and maybe that's what is used to decide of the outbound delay. Because if you just do no outbound for looking just at one transaction, then the easy way around is to just do a ton of very small transaction and you can overcome it. But if you have like you could actually still split your funds into a ton of different addresses and do a ton of small withdrawal. So it still has some risk actually, and you can go around. So maybe it's not as good as I initially thought.
That was originally the thought of with the current design, and being able to break it up in smaller trades is a way to get around it. So that's why I think it's actually outbound queue, because that regardless of your trade size, it all gets backed up. What about having an outbound delay just on secured assets? Wouldn't that, we can have the L1 pools start being more relaxed, but getting out of the secured assets, there's a delay there. And in theory, that'd be like no different than withdrawing off Coinbase or Binance, or even adding to. There's that time delay. What about
that's? I think that could work. We'll need a bit more thinking in terms of could that affect arbitrage behavior. But anyway, there is already an outbound delay for everything at the moment. So as long the issue is then if you have a delay, because right now you can instantly swap native asset for secure asset. That's a key part of having this composability. If you put an outbound delay on secured assets, actually what you are doing is putting an outbound delay on turning secure asset back to native assets. So effectively you will be killing the atomicity. So actually no, I don't think that can work.
Interesting. Okay. So I think the thing Kenton's really getting at, and I kind of agree with him, is like if you have institutions that are looking at THORChain, the outbound delay looks like a massive insecurity that we're not comfortable with our code. And because I think that's a perfect example, Kenton. I think you nailed it with like the bicycle helmet. And it's like if you had a girl looking at a guy and he's like super, buff and in shape and looks good, and he's riding his bike, but then he's got like a helmet and like knee pads and elbow pads. He's got a fucking blinker on his ass and like a little side mount, like mirror, and maybe like a rape whistle, or like he looks pathetic. He looks like a pussy. You know what I mean? So I totally love what Kenton said right there. I'm thinking because for me, but I'm also like totally on your side, pragmatic, because it's almost like with the app layer. This is a crude way to play it, but it's almost like going back to ChaosNet in some ways, right? You're going to have all these teams adding all kinds of smart contract code, and it's very, very hard to catch everything audited. But I think, Kenton, what my instinct tells me is that, okay, maybe we can't remove it, but I think we need to really reduce it. Like go down like maybe 10 or 15 minutes, because one thing I also fear is that the outbound delay is so long that it's actually built a little complacency in node operators, because the thought creeps in your mind like, someone's definitely going to catch this thing. Like I don't have to pay attention every second, but if we reduce it, I think it'll make the community more vigilant and more aware. And I think sometimes the longer the outbound queue, the delay, the more complacent we become. So that's what my thoughts are. I'm curious.
It is true, and we literally have evidence for that for the WBTC trade I think it was last year. Yeah, was it last year? Last February, I think. Forgive me, I forget you guys, but it was like $5 million, and it sat there for an hour, and no one did anything. And it wasn't a hack. It was just like just a real edge case in the way the trade was going through the pool, and it resulted in I don't know, so like 5 million WBTC came in and like 1 million went out or something. Like the slippage was like ginormous, and had somebody actually reviewed it, they actually looked at it and thought about it, it would have been caught, but nobody did. And this isn't like this is a known psychological phenomenon. It's called the bystander effect, and this has been documented. This exists in humans for a long time now. There's studies been done on it where like there'll be, say, a woman getting raped in broad daylight in the middle of the day in a street where there's hundreds of people, and no one does anything because everybody thinks, oh, well, somebody else will do something, or well, somebody else will call the police, somebody else will step in. And meanwhile, this person gets totally victimized. And then, after the fact, I was like, the lady, like, why didn't you scream for help? And it's like, I did. And like, no one came, no one helped me. And meanwhile, there's just like dozens of people all over doing nothing. And that's exactly what's happening. That's what this outbound delay creates with nodes on THORChain, is everyone thinks somebody else is doing it. Meanwhile, no one's doing anything. So we're deluding ourselves that this delay is actually helping us. It's actually making us all do nothing. So the real solution here is better alerts. And we like, I know everyone's trying. We have these hypernative alerts and stuff.
Did Kenton drop for you guys? I can't hear him.
Yeah, dropped.
Okay, I'll keep going. Hopefully he comes back on. I think I know where he was going with that conversation. I think we just need more tooling that allows for better alerts, because I think a lot of time people get drowned out on the alerts. They're just so ubiquitous and trigger all the time that it breeds complacency. So Pragmatic, I'll kick it to you, because I think you knew where Kenton was going with his words. What do you think are some things we can do just to give nodes, more accurate and concise data instead of like a bunch of like static from like a TV? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm not sure. Like I thought where I was going was to shorten the duration of it.
Right.
That's I think that's fair.
Right.
Like maybe 1 hour is too much. And maybe
Can I jump
honestly, I
in?
don't know the
Just
mechanic.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I also saw JP tweeting the other one, the real one, at some point about this. But this is kind of, for me, from a dev perspective, the perfect application of a trained AI in some way or form, right? That every node has to run, that processes the data that's coming through, which means perhaps, like you guys say, you need an outbound delay of 2 minutes or 1 minute or 30 seconds or whatever, if you are able to get up to 99.5, 99.6% success rate on the analysis. That is, like, in my opinion.
I'm really sorry. I kind of missed out. I was trying to communicate with Kenton, but I think you were just talking about like making the notifications better.
Yeah, just talking about that, the notification in itself. Yeah, it like should be based on a powerful system, like a trained AI. Like, cannot be like just an open source model, but it needs to be an adjusted one that understands what it does. And I think JP was tweeting about it at some point, or even is working on it. I don't know, but yeah, definitely use AI for this kind of stuff. We need somebody that is like looking into it and building a model for THORChain, I guess.
Right.
That would make a ton of sense. Yeah, I think because at the end, those are like probably fairly easy things to detect based on large data training, and I mean, easy to detect an abnormal behavior. And so yeah, having an automated way, intelligent automatic way to trigger memeers effectively, or maybe you still need the memeers trigger, but you still need a human, a node operator human, to sign the transaction to confirm it. I don't know exactly what the best design is, but that could be a great way to reduce yeah, to 2 minutes or
I mean,
whatever.
theoretically, I guess you could use multisig tag to have the AI in some way or form trigger a halt or whatever, and like without doing anything else, without sharing. But I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and that's kind of like why we're having these spaces, you guys. People who are listening, is that, you know, we have Rujira, they're obviously building stuff, but, you know, we're obviously very deeply intertwined now, and that's only going to increase as time goes on. So we need to think about these things ahead of time. And I encourage, if there's any, you know, devs out there listening to this live or the recording, this is something I think that we need to think deeply about. But just to move what Kenton was saying forward, I am personally in favor of at least reducing the outbound delay. I think that's okay. And I agree with his assessment that when it is longer, it just breeds too much complacency. You know, I'm opening to maybe waiting until we have some AI tooling in effect. I'm really not sure. So I lean on the wisdom of others to offer suggestions. I think what JP just said and Pragmatic Monkey just said, I think that's reasonable. Okay. Do you guys have anything else you want to add about that? I just want to make sure that, you know, this is a Rujira space, but obviously we want to make sure that we're being all encompassing here and trying to come from all the angles to make sure that we give everything we need for Rujira to scale, but we do it together in a way that's safely, and that signals confidence to the wider blockchain ecosystem.
No, nothing specific to add to the outbound delay. I guess is kind of a preference question, and then like the risk tolerance question, what you're going to do immediately. But I mean, we should incentivize people looking into improving the reporting system if it's not already done. Yeah, I just saw some integrators from like different front ends and integrators like Decade in the audience, and I just wanted to say again, guys, I think we don't say it enough. If you want to get your feet wet with Rujira, like approach us. For example, all the indices that we just launched, you can integrate them. You can put your own affiliate fee on top of them. You can monetize them. All the known system. It's just a little bit of a lift to get it, like the first, get this first change in behavior, because it's not a message swap that is done anymore, but it's a message execute. But yeah, shout out to Multisig. I think they are the first ones ever integrating quite a lot of Rujira stuff. And so yeah, just saying again, if you want help, obviously for free, just come to us and ask us, and we point you, and we can look at your code and whatever.
JP, I'm so glad you brought that up. That makes me want to pivot to another topic here, and I think I'll go to Pragmatic Monkey. Let's do a general like Rujira update. Are you know, Pragmatic? You know, I saw Thor wallets. For those who don't know, Thor wallet is a specific interface separate from THORChain. It's like a hot wallet, and they also have a web interface that, you know, stores various assets. I know I saw Thor wallet added Rujira perps. I'm assuming it's on iOS because I don't see it on Android. What are the teams looking like? Are you getting more and more people? I've been trying to kick people from the XRP community, particularly to Rujira. Like, what's that looking like? Is it getting pretty exciting over there?
So yeah, we are speaking with quite a few teams, but so the perps is really like for now an isolated product built by the Levana team, and this integration was made by I think it was TorSwap. I wasn't involved into that. They just did it to add a functionality, which is great, and we want to see that. But we are not like proactively pushing for third-party integrator yet on the base stack, because right now we are not ready from prime time yet, and in terms of liquidity mostly, but also we want to have the framework in place with affiliate and referral, and then that would be the moment we start to do like a big push. But we are talking with quite a few teams. However, I think there is always a disconnect between what you people focus on the outside and all those integration and stuff, which is great. Like we need that, but and the timing of where we are in the development cycle, which is still a few, like focusing on getting a few big pieces in place. And if you want, I can
get your feet wet with the Ruji index. That's done.
Exactly.
That
For now, like actually, NAMI has been doing great. Like they have already product live. They are also blocked in a way by the bigger pieces, because of course NAMI will need proper liquidity on the order book to be able to do much more indexes, and will need landing vault and other market making strategy to be able to do the earned products. But eventually that's also that would probably be the best way to integrate with more sophisticated solution, because those interfaces are not going to want to integrate with 1,000 different strategies. So in any case, I think working either with NAMI or CALC or Rujira would be the, for most use case, the best place. And then, of course, if you want to integrate with the order book, that would be via us. But yes, this is all coming. But for now, focus on NAMI, and that would be a great use case to for first integration. And you or Rujira with TCY auto compounder, it's also another good one. And then more will come.
I love it. Awesome. I'm really getting excited, and I know you guys are really baking down there, and you're trying to do it quickly yet responsibly as well. You know, being very safe, and you know how fragile a reputation can be. So I commend you guys. I'm really excited. If there's anything I can do, or anyone else in the audience, or any builders can help you, definitely interested in doing that. I'm just going to keep spreading the word about Rujira and all the things you're doing. And again, I think what JP said, that's very important. Guys, if you are a builder, just make the first attempt and just open DMs and get in contact with either Pragmatic Monkey, you know, NAMI Protocol, Rujira, you know, Erudite. There's a lot of people there. And let's just get the conversation started, because there is so many things that we need to build, and it's going to get really exciting. I don't know if anyone has anything they want to mention. You know, I see Only Hans is on stage. If anyone has any questions or comments or anything we felt like we moved out, but I think we're pretty comprehensive today. Floor's open. Go ahead.
I just thought, like, if you were wanting to have an overview about the Rujira updates in itself, I think something that is very interesting is to say that from 3.10, you will be able to use Rujira and THORChain from any EVM wallet, right? The EVM pubkey support will work fully as it is. There's like a huge unlock also for THORChain in itself. And also the credit accounts that Hans is coding, he was teasing here and there. There's a lot of DeFi strategies around lending, borrowing, margin, perps, ultimately, whatever coming up. So obviously it's a tease, but follow the GitLab if you can read code, or ask ChatGPT to tell you what the code does. And yeah, you'll literally be blown away, especially because I think that's something nice to mention here. Usually, if you use lending and borrowing, yeah, you are restricted, and in many ways, who's the borrower, how does it work? Like from a building perspective, you are a bit restricted. But now, what Hans has created is basically a system that you can do whatever is a big word, like, don't get me wrong, in a transaction, if at the end of the transaction you are solvent. So if you don't fuck up the system, and this will be very interesting. I think he hasn't completely implemented that yet, so too early to talk about perhaps PMS and more infos for that, but it's really exciting from a building perspective, unlocks a huge amount of composability.
This is going to be a game changer, definitely, in terms of, well, all the apps that it will unlock spot margin trading. It will unlock eventually, so spot margin trading, CDP loans, stable coins, the native Bitcoin backed stable coins. It will also be using the same system. This will allow us to do a mixed version of stablecoin. We could do either the classic CDP loan, or we can do an ITNA style version of it. And ultimately, this will unlock Ruji futures, which we can also call PERP v2, which will be a new version of the PERPs that exist, but built a bit differently with a peer-to-peer order book model, similar to Hyperliquid, instead of peer-to-pool like the version we have with the Levana product currently. So that will come later, but all of that will be enabled via this credit account structure. So very cool. And for builder also, as NAMI GP was saying, it's a big unlock, because then you can do pretty much anything. And yeah, as long as you are solvent at the end of the transaction, just like a flash loan, effectively, but inside a container, you can do all sorts of very imaginative stuff, swapping your collateral for another collateral without having to repay your loan in the middle. Or that's a simple one, but I'm sure people can come up a crazy leverage loop as well. Like if you want to go, that's how effectively spot margin will work. If you want to go 10x long Bitcoin, you just buy and borrow, but all of that in the same block, and open your long margin position with that. But I'm sure people will find many other stuff.
Very cool. Just a quick shout out. Kenton's still struggling to come on stage. TC intern, if Steve, maybe you can try and kick him from co-host, see if we can get him back up. That'd be awesome. But you know, glitches are glitches. Sometimes it doesn't work. We have a new speaker. DKit came up. Hey, DKit, what's going on?
Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Thad. Yeah, I just wanted to chime in on the outbound delay topic and just the general like speaking from the router space, right? From like the competitive landscape of these various backends and how they compete against one another and how it fits into a stack like ours. The direction something like DKit's going is one in which we have all different kinds of clients, not just simple front ends or like front end dexes or wallets. And we end up offering them like a composable stack where they can essentially sort where they're serving their routes from based on what kind of company they are and what they want, right? So like certain companies aren't going to want Maya protocol because they don't want to touch Zcash because they're a big institution or something. It's unfortunate. Other ones are going to want to have the switch that says like we only are using fully decentralized backends, nothing even close to a bridge or a wrapper. There's going to be more and more variety and competition. But just speaking to like outbound delay and how THORChain competes against our main backends, which I would say are like THORChain, Chainflip, Maya Protocol, and Garden Finance. Those are like the top competitors for the top route. I always want to see THORChain on top of that list. And what's been really cool is watching, especially with things like rapid swaps coming, THORChain is in a position where it is going to top that list. And that'll be whether or not we filter on speed or price. So obviously it will filter through high for like decentralization. But then the other question is, do these front ends and do these companies and anyone plugging into these cross-chain stacks, do they want to filter by speed or price? And I don't know what your guys' preferences are when you use things like 1inch or some of these other things, but I do find a lot of people, unless there's a big difference, do filter by speed. And so I just see things like rapid swaps and also outbound delays being eliminated as like, these are the changes I personally really want to see THORChain on top of the list, because it by far has like the best execution. It's a matter of just how the mechanics match up against these other backends and how they work and how deep their liquidity is and what both the kind of slippage tolerance as well as the speed of execution is. So anyways, I see changes like this as like super positive, and just speaking from behind the dashboard of watching these various backends compete against one another, like all of these changes are and will make THORChain like the best option. And that would be awesome to see. So it's super exciting. And I mean, THORChain is evolving, and there's a reason that it's kind of leader of the pack. And so we're pretty stoked to be offering that. And, you know, similar to the conversation with like LeoDex's THORChain interface or like the THORChain native one, there'll also be companies and like unstoppable wallets like this right now, but there'll also be companies that are like, we just want THORChain. And the reality is, if THORChain is good enough, more and more companies are going to say, just give us THORChain because it works and that's all we want. So proud to be serving that hot and fresh. And yeah, hope everyone's having a great Saturday.
Yeah, dude, that was awesome. Thank you so much. That's like really cool perspective coming from someone like yourself. And I do agree. I think your logic is sound. And this is something I think that we're just going to have to collectively think about on the Rujira and THORChain side, is how we can mitigate this outbound thing and make THORChain as quick as possible. And you guys know how it is, right? I mean, when you have a really good reputation, it's just a little, like you do 99% things right, like we've done on THORChain and on, you know, Kajira, Rujira. We've done 99.95% things right. And if you have one bug that results in a little, it just blows up on social media. So it's like the stakes are real. It's hard. But, you know, those who know THORChain, I mean, obviously they're not too deterred by that kind of thinking, but it's something that we just got to tread water and be really careful. But I think it's clear that we need to at least consider reducing the outbound delay, making THORChain quick, because you guys just heard it from DKit. People really preference speed, and I can speak for Kenton because he can't speak for himself. He's been talking to various, funds and people trying to get people to invest in THORChain, and that is a big hiccup for them. Is that speed? Is that outbound delay? It just hits them wrong. It just comes off wrong, right? Sounds insecure. Doesn't matter if we tell them the history of we want THORChain to be as hardy and as safe as possible, that we're very defensive, that we want this infrastructure to be safe. It just doesn't sit right. So something that we're going to have to navigate together. I don't foresee it as being a big problem, but the sooner we start working on it, I think, especially relative to what DKit said, it's something that's that'll really help us. Well, this is great, guys. Awesome. I don't know if we're going to get Kenton back. It really sucks. I hate having my wingman be missing because he's a legend when it comes to these economic primitives. Definitely the one thing that, I'm not really a big DeFi user in the terms of primitive. So it's a little something I'm soft on. I'm a dollar cost average buy and hold kind of guy. I'm real simple like that. But if there's anything else, if anyone wants to come up and ask questions, some people request, but if you have 10 followers and you don't have the thing, I just think I'm kicking you. I'm sorry. You're not coming up on stage, but I'm not gatekeeping here, but we've had too many trolls come up and just do some random things with the mic. So I'm not going to risk it. You gotta be known a little bit. I mean, come on, put a little effort in there. But if anyone has any questions or has any concerns that are already on stage, please fire away. But if there's nothing else, this might be a good time to wrap. I know everyone wants us not to go 4 hours. Oh my God, Kenton, your microphone. Are you going to say something right now?
Am I back? Can you hear me?
Oh my God, welcome back, my friend.
I did. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I was able to listen to most of it. I don't want to beat a dead horse. I think you guys kind of covered it, but I appreciate DKit's perspective. I think time is a way more important factor of UX than price. How about put it this way, guys? How many times in life have you been willing to pay more to get something done quicker? Right? I'll fly direct. I'll pay an extra $100, $50, or an extra 10 or 20% for my flight to fly direct versus connecting. You know what I mean? So I think time is a huge thing. And he brought up rapid swaps. What's the point of rapid swaps if you got to wait an hour for your trade to settle? It doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, those are my finishing thoughts on it.
Yeah, it sounds like a bit of a contradiction, right? We do have a new speaker, Rio. If you want to test your mic, go ahead.
Hey, y'all, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. What do you got for us?
Hey, thanks for putting this on. As always, Patriot Sounds, Kenton. Hey, question for Rujira team, PM. Maybe I haven't heard much about Wink or the NFT marketplace. Can you talk about what's going on with that? Are those guys still around and building?
Okay, so I'm gonna give you an update there, which we haven't communicated officially yet. But no, we have to part way with them. They were lacking dev resources and were not able to deliver per the timeline we have set to them. So instead of that, it would be us also building it. So in pretty much an afternoon, Hans came up with something very interesting, very new. He had a vision for a different type of NFT standard called verifiable NFT. And that will effectively be an NFT, but that also allow you to prove that whatever you are tokenizing is indeed what it's supposed to be and is indeed unique. So if you think about a JPEG, you could actually, when you mint the JPEG, you will be able to attach the bytecode of this JPEG. And then if somebody tried to mint the same JPEG with the same image, it will not be possible because it would be a check against the hash of this encrypted JPEG. And that can be used not just for JPEG, but the idea is really very much to be able to use this standard to also tokenize real-world assets and expand beyond just art NFTs. So that's something that will be coming. Of course, so it got delayed a bit because we are changing the team, but it's not a big lift, really. It's just a matter of prioritization. We have still a lot of different things on the roadmap, and this doesn't look like the most urgent matter, but it will be coming, and you will be eventually able to launch collections as expected, and actually do much more stuff than just image collection.
Sounds good. So that's RWAs are coming to THORChain/Rujira.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah, that would allow a protocol to build on top of this standard to, for example, do tokenize a barrel of rare whiskey or something along those lines. That would be cool.
Hey, good news. That's good to hear. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, we will share more info. We have an article almost ready, but need to check a few still technical things before we release. So that's very much pure alpha. I just gave away, but yeah, there are some good plans coming.
PM, can I add to that? Oh, sorry, Rio, did you have more to say?
I just want to say, hey, brother, keep dropping the alpha, man. We're all here for it.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks for your support. Thanks for tuning in. To kind of extend our RWA's NFTs, what about a meme coin platform? When we pump, pump.Rujira, pump.THORChain.
That we have the Launchpad coming, which is currently under audit. So the Launchpad will allow you to launch any token you want. So you can use
someone's transmitting sound, please. Thank you. Go ahead, Pragman Monkey.
Yeah, I was saying, so we have the Launchpad, Rujira Launchpad, which is currently undergoing audits, and that will allow you to launch a meme coin if you want. You can launch any type of tokens, and so that can be your pump.fun Rujira version of it. And somebody could even spin out an alternative front end for it with a more meme focus thing and make it a different product.
And would those fees trickle to, is THORChain participating in the fee sharing on that?
Yeah, the Launchpad is whenever you do a raise, there will be a fee taken. So you have two fees. You have a fee that is taken on the amount raised, and you have a fee that is taken on the withdrawal. And those fees are not generating any direct economic activity for THORChain. So it's a normal 50-50 split.
And then what would be the pool? How would they pool the asset? What would they pair it with? Like, could they decide what they want to? They want to pool it with ETH or pool it with any gas asset, basically, right?
No, so initially, I think we want to focus on the USDC pairs, but you could technically raise with any token you want. I personally am not super keen to see a raise in Ruji, because it means that it's the backend and the project has to sell this Ruji to fund this operation. So I'd rather have them raising directly in USDC or Bitcoin or whatever they want to raise rather than Ruji. But if you wanted to do a launch in RUNE, for example, you could totally do that. And yeah, so it's and the way it works then is there's a fully automated process, and you define as a token creator when you build your launch, you design your tokenomics, and you design which parts of the token supply will be allocated for liquidity and how much from the raise will be used to be paired with the liquidity. And it's a step-by-step process. And by the end of the process, if your sales complete to target, and so it's valid, and you close the sales, it will automatically create a LP on Ruji Trade with the XYK market maker, and your tokens start trading immediately. And I see NAMI as the hand raise, and they know the process really well because they use this platform or the predecessor of it, Pilot, to raise on Rujira back in the day. So maybe GP, you want to say something about it?
Go ahead, NAMI.
Yeah, I have another topic later, but this one, there's a very smooth process. I have to admit, and I think the guys are working on it, the first time you use it as a user, as an investor, it is quite complex to understand the mechanics. So usually the first time you fuck it up, the second time you're in it and you start to laugh about the guys that come the first time. But yeah, it was a really nice process, and actually for us, it resulted in a 3x higher raise than we have targeted. So whoever wants to build, listen to this. If you I guess, convince the people correctly, have the right value proposition. Yeah.
Well, and so you could start a token and raise Bitcoin.
Yes. Yeah.
So man, the maxis heads are gonna melt. We could have a meme coin platform paired, all the pools paired with Bitcoin. All these meme coins paired with Bitcoin. Their heads would absolutely implode. I want to see it. I'd love it.
Yeah,
oh my god, you guys.
that would be great. And by the way, you also have we got earlier this month DAO that went live, and it's an amazing tool, guys. Actually, I could totally see you, Kenton and Patriot, like for like how do you plan to manage the budgets of the marketing, the 5% you will get for marketing? Is that gonna be some EOA wallet somewhere or some multi-sig, or is it gonna be transparent on chain?
It's gonna go to Coke and hookers. No, yes. Yeah, that's what the critics are going to tell me. Yeah, so the idea is that it would be like the dev fund. So there's on the constants, there's a RUNE address where we can see where the RUNE goes to. So we'd have the same address, same thing, address, RUNE address, where the RUNE goes to for the marketing fund. And then that address be held on Balti-Sig. We would do 2 of 3, me, Scorch, someone from 9 Realms. And I imagine we'd have an ETH address too, so we can convert it to stablecoin, right? So we can actually go pay for stuff. I'm happy for that address to be public. And then like any receipts and stuff like that, we'll put in a Google Drive, so people want to look at. That's it. Yeah.
So the reason I was asking is because of course you have, and that's really a business choice. But given THORChain is a community centric project, if you want to do things very transparently, what you could do is set this address to a DAO. So you can have 2 types of DAO. You can have token DAOs, actually 3 types. You can have DAOs that are just that are controlled by tokens. So you stack a given token and it gives you a pro rata share of voting rights. You can have membership DAO, which are normal multi-sig. So you could have the same 3 people, but everything's happening on chain. And every time you want, all the fee will be sent to the DAO address. And every time you want to spend some money, you will have to do a mini proposal. And this can be just a line, but then you have to say, oh, we are using this fund to do that. And so if you want to do like a very transparent management of the treasury, it can be quite good. And then you can have also NFTs DAO, like if some NFT collection want to also manage the treasuries, they can do that. So it's a great tool that is there. And the reason I was speaking about that was not just for you, but because before that we were talking about the Launchpad. So now we have the full life cycle, like a project can come, launch a token, raise. At the end of the raise, there is a liquidity pool seeded and the token start trading immediately, and they can spin out a DAO, and the people who participated in the raise can all stack their token if they wish to, and have a collective ownership of the remaining of the treasury and of the funds that have been raised during the process. And that's very powerful, and you can start to do like all sorts of community-driven stuff, and you could have like a Kenton DAO that raise capital, that raise BTC, for example, in a sales like that, and then manage an on-chain fund, 100% on-chain fund via this DAO infrastructure. And every capital allocation decision is voted, like is proposed by you or a committee made of you and a few other community members with a Patriot and I don't know, a few other people. And token holders have to approve every decision. And that can be a very cool model as well. And then you could do that to start to provide liquidity in certain pools or base layer or app layer, or decide on spending some more on marketing for special initiatives from the front end. Anything really. You can run a business, a decentralized business on a blockchain rail in a transparent fashion this way, and from raising capital to deploying it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I'm so on that. I've had someone else propose it to me too, something similar. And it's tough because like decentralization is bad for governance. And I actually feel like if there's any kind of risk with THORChain is that is decentralized, and it's just governance is just too hard. Like you're constantly having to herd cats And you know, if every time you want to go do something, you have to get people to vote on it, it's just like nothing gets done. It's just death by committee. So
No, yeah, I agree with that, having been like involved in DAOs for quite a few years, and I think you have always like decentralization is a spectrum. You have like a lot of different level of it. I think a DAO, a properly functioning DAO, needs a clear leadership. Doesn't matter if it's a DAO. It needs a team that is given a mandate to take decisions and drive the everyday operation and growth. Otherwise, it's not going to happen by itself. But then you can have either, so especially now you have a vote delegation coming that is live, which is super cool. So you can do two things. You can do a bit more trust-based model where effectively you would allocate a budget on a quarterly basis, for example, to the core team member of the DAO, and they have freedom to disperse those funds, and effectively those funds would go to 2 or 3 multi-sigs, for example, and then it's just you, the core team, voting on each decision, but still it's transparent. Or you could have an alternative model where you delegate ownership. That's very interesting, because if you think about it, if we grow into a decentralized world where we decentralize more and more of everything, including like, I don't know, eventually some public services or whatever, that's how the political system in most democracies is supposed to work. Like you vote for local representative, and then they are supposed to represent your opinions, your preferences. But reality is this system tend to be very corrupted. People will have like very strict agenda depending on which lobby funded them and all that. And usually the person you delegate your vote to doesn't represent your interest to your best. Well, now we could have this kind of direct democracy system on chain, but still with delegation. And what you can do is allow any stackers to delegate the decision making power to one of the core DAO members, or anyone else who want to step in as an involved decision maker that gets things moving. And it's really like real-time democracy. Anytime you can reallocate your votes to somebody else. If you don't agree, you can see all the list of votes they made. And if you don't agree with the decision or the vision, you can just redelegate. But what you can do as well is, by default, then don't vote. And however, if there is something big and you are not in agreement with the vote made by whoever you delegated, you can override the vote at any time. And I think that's quite powerful. And we cannot expect in an hopefully ever decentralizing society that everybody will be expert on everything and will vote on everything. That's never going to matter. But we can kind of mimic the existing system of delegation, which works in politics, but also in corporations to a certain extent. But except that instead of having only a window of 4 years or 5 years, whatever, to readjust your votes because you did not get to choose, the people you voted for did not act as you were expecting in average. And this person, by the way, had a big incentive not to vote, just vote for their best interest because they knew they were safe for 4 years. Well, now they have the risk that at any time, if they fucked up, they'll get redelegated. So it becomes real time. And anything you are not in agreement with, you can override. So it's hopefully can foster a model where we still have all this delegation based on trust, but more transparent, more like a reactive, and where you can override. So I think it can be a good model and also an alternative way to effectively manage a company, which is for certain DAOs, that's what it is. If you look at Liquidity, it's really looked to be a business making market and doing some other things on Rujira. It's aimed to be profitable for its token holders, but it's a DAO, and the two are not incompatible.
yeah, for unique business, yeah, I get it. But like for the marketing fund in particular, like we have a DAO, we have 115 nodes, and if they want to turn it off, they can. If they want to,
that's for the funding part, but that's not for the fund allocation. That's for the use of fund part.
Yeah, then it's just. I don't know,
it's really. I'm not saying that you should do that. By the way, I was just illustrating a tool and how you could do it. It's
How much
how much centralized versus decentralized do you want your micro organization to be, and how much transparent versus efficient, let's say, you want it to be.
I think
Yeah.
I think we're gonna just see how how it goes, because and I've got some hands up, so I want to make sure we get to the other speakers. I know Nami raised his hand. I might go to Nami first, but then I think it was with the Coke, Bionator, and then Rio's hand popped up and went down. I don't know if that could be a bug, but I think one thing is from Kenton's point of view, is like when we did the Raise the Bond campaign, that was very spontaneous, and we just like, let's go and let's do it. And I understand, like, the DAO governance. We're still early. I'm sure we'll figure out what works as we go along. But I know Pragmatic Monkey, you kind of said, like, I'm like part of the marketing. I'm adjacent to Kenton. I talk with Kenton a lot, but when it comes to like these kind of things, I was an affiliate marketer back in the day. I do have certain instincts, but I kind of want it to be a little centralized in the beginning. I just kind of want to let Kenton just go, and just figure it and have kind of like because I think we've proven at this point that Kenton is a competent marketer and that he has great instincts. And so in the early stages, when we're early, I kind of just want to see how it goes and just kind of give almost like unilateral control a little bit, just not, just let Kenton go. That's like what my instincts tell me, and then we'll kind of refine. So I'm
fully in agreement with you, by the way. I think that's the way to do, and you need to have ownership, and you need that. I was like, especially for something like marketing that needs a lot of action. I wasn't suggesting.
No, I understand.
It's we are talking about two different things. There is one thing that is who is in charge, who is leading that, and who is doing that, what, and then there is just how much oversight do you want for that? Is it full blown with some fund to arrest and they can do everything, or do you want a bit more transparency on the use of fund, and you have different model to do that? But especially for the marketing, I was just trying to take an example relevant, because Kenton usually like to take metaphors or like illustrations. But the original part of that was Kenton saying people can come and raise in Bitcoin with the Launchpad. And I was just trying to add to that. Not only they can raise Bitcoin with the Launchpad, but they can also provide right after a mechanism to allow people who participated in the raise to have a say on the use of the Bitcoin they just contributed to the treasury. That was the point.
I got you. Okay, that makes sense. And sorry for my confusion there. Kenton, did you want to say something?
I said thank you for bringing it back, PM. Let's bring it back to Rujira. Let's not go down the marketing topic. Let's leave that for another day. Let's keep this focused on Rujira.
Okay, so let's move to some hands here. Let's go to With the Coke. Go. I believe you were first, and then we'll go to Bionator.
Bionator was actually before me, but it's okay. I can start. I was just wondering. Oh, by the way, a lot of good work doing by PM and the team. How is the for example, the options going? Are they still in the like a waiting list? Because as you know, I'm really concerned with the perps and options, because they're the fee generating stuff.
It has always been a longer term thing. Like we did not even have it live on Rujira. This is like bottom of the list of priority. The guy who was supposed to build that, like we never paid him, so it doesn't build any capital expenses on that. He was just a builder on Rujira. He has been kind of very not responsive from the start. So we are assuming he won't be the one building it. We'll probably end up doing it ourselves as well. But options, like this is a cool tool to have. But if you look at on-chain use of option, you have some like supposedly big protocols, the one that Rebound, who rebranded to I forgot the name, Premia, and a few Doplex, a few other. There is very, very little usage of it because it's hard to get the model right. It's hard to get the pricing right, or you need market makers, external market makers, and you need volumes to attract them. It's complicated. So it's reality at this time. It's a very low opportunity thing. So it's really bottom of the list, but it will come in due time. Just it's not going to make a dent. Like for now, the goal is really also to try to focus on the things that will bring up the most revenue, and the most revenue will be first from the spot DEX, and also eventually from perps, but with the right model. So let's see
Yeah,
if
that's
the team can pull it up. But otherwise, I know you are concerned. We have, I said earlier, like thanks to critical account, we'll have an alternative design that we can put in place, and we will very likely do it. And that should be a model that allow for more volume just by the difference of nature. When you have a peer-to-pool model, you really need just like if you don't have organic users, if you cannot attract them, you don't have a base level of economic activity. If you have a peer-to-peer model with an order book where you can provide liquidity, anybody just the same way as with peer-to-pool, but when you provide liquidity, actually your liquidity needs to be readjusted based on the order in the order book. That means that from the moment you have volatility, it creates a base level of trading, and that's why we already have trading a bit of volumes in the few pairs where we deploy the XYK pool on the app layer. It's like from the moment you spin one off, arbitrage opportunity arise, and arbitrager comes up and build some volumes.
okay. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, I guess makes sense to go. And yeah, I've actually seen on ETH a couple of option protocols, and they haven't taken off as well. So fair enough.
Yeah, ton. There's also example I was mentioning where in the EVM world. I think it was one also a cool one called a friction on Solana back in the day. You need, so to make it attractive, you also need, if you just provide option itself, there is no demand for that currently. You need to give you utility to this option, but building strategy on top of it. So you probably need also to have some people ready to build strategies. And those guys were the only ones that I saw kind of successful for a while. But even there, like the type of, depending on the type of strategy, usually you have a lot of short, like covered short strategy, where effectively you are short the asset, you are selling puts, and it goes well up and to the right, your collateral is stablecoin against that, and you are selling short on the crypto, and suddenly there is a big move up, and boom, you get liquidated. So you need some people who can build more sophisticated strategies that also protect your downside in case of extreme moves. So it's it's not an easy thing to put together, and all the team I have seen trying to do that ended up shutting down. And this one friction was the one I saw with most success, and they shut down as well. So yeah, really not, I think, a good allocation of our time at this point.
Understood. I have only final question. I just noticed a lot of this price outage on the Rujira and the perps. Maybe you can elaborate what's causing it and how it will be fixed, because it is the, like, imagine you come on the platform and you see like the straight line
terrible.
of the...
It's terrible. In the past 2 days now, we have had like several of those events, and that's by the way also why that type of stuff that delay us, because then it's a lot of times from Hans and the team to try to drill down to understand what's wrong in the infrastructure and this type of stuff. So that's also like this type of things between that, the wallet connections, I think also new wallets and supporting those new standards. This is what prevents us from like being faster on the app development part. But so here's the issue. It's an infrastructure issue. We are using gRPC to get the on-chain data, and we have an API that takes this data from the gRPC and feed it to the front end. And there is just a performance problem with the current setup. And our infrastructure provider, we have one, has been struggling to find a way to make it work. So we are, as we speak, I was speaking earlier with somebody about that, and we are speaking with a few people to try to find an alternative provider that will be able to provide a more resilient infrastructure.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for answer. And I totally agree with, like, let's make the bottom bricks as solid as possible. And if we have still issues with the RPC providers or something, let's iron those out, and after that build on top. Thank
exactly.
you.
Like first need like a solid base,
yes,
and a stable product before we can push.
Yeah, if the spot trading and the perps trading is stable and big and deep, that's what'll make the options trading possible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for option as well, yeah, it will help a lot if we have depth in this market. Without that, getting those liquids is definitely a much higher priority than options. So there is a sequence of a logical sequence of event as well here. You're right.
But I just ask. But it's just the front end issue, right? So like NAMI and CALC, they can operate their older indexes stuff right on blockchain, right? So it's just visual for us, for the people who click on the browser, right?
Yeah, the on-chain part is not impacted. Like it's really a front-end thing, and actually you may have alternative front-ends that don't consume the APIs that could work. So sometimes there's an issue with the gRPC, so it will prevent also the alternative front-end to work, but the smart contract, for them, it doesn't matter. Like they always operate the same. It doesn't introduce any risk. It's just an annoyance for user.
Okay, thank you. So it's just a front end thing. Blockchain is running flawless. Okay, thank you for your work, Programming Monkey. I'm out. I'm now listening.
Thanks. Thank you.
Appreciate it. And I'll just say, Pragmatic Monkey, it's really nice to hear when you talk about other teams and you're saying they didn't make the cut, or, you had to cut ties. I don't, of course that's a negative thing, but it also shows that you guys are choosing merit, and you have a decent filter when it comes to having teams. I mean, every team's welcome, but you got to put in the work, and you got to have the skills. And so I think that's very encouraging for me, at least personally. And then NAMI, you are a central builder. If you want to, cut in, if you have context, you have a little priority in the speaking channel. So if you ever want to butt in, that's okay. But I'm going to go ahead and kick it to Bai. Go ahead, Bai, if you want to. What, I can't see your name. I'm sorry.
Hi. Bionator. Hi.
That's what it was.
Pleasure to be here. Yeah, no worries. Pleasure to be here. Really pleased with the way everything's going. Congrats to the team. Just a quick question. Since the Wing team is no longer with you guys, were they still compensated? Did they still get their allocation? That's my only question.
Well, the allocation wasn't given to the Wing team directly. They what the Wing token holders got is an allocation of the supply, 1.5% more or less of the RG supply. That's deposited in the merge contract, and that cannot be changed and won't be changed. And I would not be fair to change it, because, of course, a big part of the Wing supply is owned by the Wing team, but also a lot of people in the community on Wing, and buy it on the promise of being able to merge it at a certain ratio. And that promise will be honored. So no change on that front.
Right on. Yeah, I guess it kind of sucks, but I guess you can't really do anything about it.
Yeah, exactly. It sucks, but it's a risk of operating in the startup environment on a blockchain. On top of that, with a ton of complexity and a ton of uncertainty. And yeah, this happened. It's okay in the big scheme of things. It won't matter. Like really, 1.5% of the supply is material, but it's not like if it was wasted on a few individuals. Like it's going to all Wing holders.
And also,
right. Thank you for the transparency. Appreciate it. Thank you.
And also keep in mind, Pragmatic Monkey couldn't negotiate this, so it was just the merge happened like it happened. So.
Exactly. It happens, and now it's in smart contracts. There is no retro writing of the chain to change terms.
Kenton and Patriot, I have a question for you guys. A spicy one, I guess. I don't know if we talked about it. How about borrowing against your RUNE on Rujira? What's your position?
No. RUNE can't be used as collateral. I mean, we can't stop OTC desks and other people doing it, right? I mean, it's a free market, but the THORChain ecosystem should not be promoting and supporting it. We learned that lesson the hard way. I'm against it.
I'm very against it too. I just don't want the base unit of RUNE, THORChain RUNE, to be used in any way like that. I want RUNE to be as stable as an asset as possible, and I want things to be built on top of that stable system. We're building, like, you're building a skyscraper, right? I want the foundation to be as robust and reinforced as possible so that that skyscraper can grow and grow and you can add floors. It's just, it gets me so nervous and gives me a lot of anxiety. I just, and it's hard for me to understand the mechanics, to be honest with you, the behaviorism. So I would really love it if we did not do that.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
I have a question.
I give my
go ahead.
opinion on
Go ahead,
that as
GM.
well. So there is all of that could be done, by the way, safely, as long as there is a cap on the amount that you can borrow against your RUNE that is proportionate to the on-chain liquidity. But even though you never know, because if somebody is doing the same thing on another chain, then if you well, depending on how you account for liquidity, but it's never perfect. But you can put like a lot of guardrail in place. However, first, we will never force that. If the THORChain community is not in favor, we are not going to do it 100%. Second, we have, I think, the same exact trauma with Kuji and now Ruji, so we'll probably not do it for our token. And my view on that is actually, I think we should only allow CDP loans for assets, big L1 asset with a lot of liquidity and volumes, and that should be most of it, and not for the alt and the low cap tokens. And that way we also mitigate a big part of the risk, and that's anyway where most of the demand is in the market.
Yeah, but it's like give an inch, take a mile, right? If we did that, it's only, we'll cap it at 5% of the supply, right? And then after a couple of years, well, let's go to 10%. A couple of years later, well, let's go to 15%. It's just keep moving the goalposts. So no, I would not support it.
Sorry, Kenton, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm totally with Kenton saying, like, when I'm thinking about THORChain, I'm thinking about, I want this system to be stable for 20, 25 years, 30 years, forever. I want this to be something that just lasts and it results in the emancipation of everyone in the world. I'm not trying to be cliche or romanticized about it. I mean, I literally mean that, right? And the decisions we make now are so incredibly impactful and important. Not next year, not 2 years, but 10, 20 years from now. We have to get this right. And so I don't even want to even entertain the idea. I just don't want to do it because I might not even be alive, and or whatever. Like I want the first principles to be sound. If we can nail down the first principles, then we're golden. And that's my real concern here. 100%. We have some more, and so it's a little glitch, guys. So I'm sorry, Rio. Did you have your hand up or no? It's glitched for me. And then only Hans has his hand up, but I want to go to you first if there's something you want to say. So go ahead, Rio. I'll give you a few seconds to check your mic. Maybe you're not there. I'll kick it back to you. Okay, only Hans. I'm going to kick it to you. What do you got?
No, just talking for the community. I have two questions. Maybe there are some updates. First, Ruji is taking rewards. We all know that they are being placed on a random day, not to people to game it. But I was wondering, is there any logic? Are we waiting for there's something we want to see before we allow them? And second was more about the wallet session. I have 10 people with money on exchange are asking me when is the wallet coming out. So if we can have an idea, it would be amazing. Thank you.
Okay, so on the stacking rewards, so technically it's very simple now to start it. We are waiting first for 56 to go online, but we are also waiting for being able to account for it with the analytics. And so yesterday we did a few tests again. It was an issue with the way the APR was calculated for the liquid version of the token. So we fixed that actually earlier this morning it was. And now we need to wait a day or two to check that. So now technically it's possible. However, we'll probably delay that. So in all transparency, both Hans and I are supposed to be out of office next week, first time for a very, very long time. So we are not gonna want to, of course, we'll still be online and checking stuff, but better not do that while we are not in front of our desk all time. In case something goes wrong, you never know. So we probably delay that by at least a week, 10 days max.
Okay, thank you.
And second question was around station.
Yeah, station wallet.
So
I
first
mean,
version.
of course, we're not asking for a specific date. I know you guys don't do that, but like, if there's any update.
So GP NAMI, who is on this call, he was actually leading the work for the first iteration of Station. It's getting very close, and maybe GP, you want to give a quick update there?
I bugged him already for this a lot of times.
We're in the final terms of the development. Obviously, the final term is also the most spiciest one because it's around picking up the right encrypted keys and using them that are already on the devices. So yeah, no commitment, but getting fairly close.
Will this be for both iOS and Android?
Yes.
At the same time? Yeah, okay.
Hopefully. That was also another big blocker we are having, like having to deal with those apps. App stores is very difficult.
Yeah.
But finger crossed, we should be able to be on both now. It was this very scary news that listed for a day when Google suddenly announced they will be banning all of that, so we'll have lost Google. But then they backtrack from that, so we should still have both.
Because I remember in Rujira couldn't go live because it had all of this DeFi stuff and it was banned.
Yeah, no, it's very hard to get on those stores. But that was one of the big, actually, probably the biggest reason to acquire. It was two main reasons to acquire Station. It wasn't for the code. The code has been entirely rewritten. It was really, well, the existing install base. You have like 1.4 million of downloads to that day. So that's a big potential if we can reactivate part of that, even if there is a challenge because you cannot send any push notification, but there is still like a good part of that we should be able to reach, that people that are don't have completely disappeared from crypto Twitter and other venue since the collapse. So hopefully we can reactivate part of it. That was one of the big value. The other big value was being able to get those already existing place in the App Store and the Google Store. And even though once you transfer ownership and do this type of things, it become a big mess, and we could very much have lost those, but we did not. So all good.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
I have some questions.
Feel like,
go ahead.
Sorry. No, I just wanted to say thank you for inviting me, and I'll be off. I just feel like a guy at the concert being called up to stage. Thank you so much.
And nice to speak to you for the first time. I
Yeah,
see
likewise.
you all the time on the chat.
I saw only JP from NAMI. Actually, we saw each other live in person, and that's about it. But it was back in the Rujira times. Yeah.
Well, maybe you make it to one of the meetups those days.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely meet people in real life, and I'm really glad you guys, the Rujirans, came up here to ask questions, because now I said the space might end an hour ago, but you guys have been the one asking good questions, so you guys can't give me and Kenton shit for letting this space go on for 2 or 3 hours or whatever it's gonna be, because this is all you guys doing it.
Exactly. And also I'm glad, thanks guys, because usually was a space like nobody from the Rujira community was speaking, and then a lot of people are very vocal, either on Twitter, sometimes a bit aggressive, or on Telegram. But then if you want to speak, if you have opinions, come here. That's why Patriot and Kenton do those spaces. Like that's a place to come and voice out concerns and clear up things. So very glad to see a few of our community member finally taking the step. So thanks for leading the way on Leon's. And we had Bainator earlier as well. Very cool to see that.
Cheers. Bye-bye, guys.
Hey, anything.
So, oh, sorry, Patriot.
No, go ahead, brother. You're good.
PM, can I ask you my questions now? We're like 2 hours in. Yeah. So I just so you guys know, listening, I asked Pragmatic Monkey some questions a couple of days ago, so we could think about them, so I could ask them live. I'm curious, two things. One is, what are your thoughts on the THORChain front end, like copy and pasting Rujira trade and having it available on THORChain.org? And then the other one is, have you guys talked about or looked into having a Fiat on and off ramp on Rujira trade, so that I've been thinking about it for the THORChain front end. Like, if we really truly want to make this a one-stop shop, why not have a fiat on and off ramp for people? So yeah, I don't know where you want to start.
On the front end part, absolutely. Like I would love to see our product integrated. Ideally, however, it's not a simple copy paste. I think like you should change the branding and all that. Like that's really one thing. I think the other part is really around the API, because we have to think about that. Like if all alternative front ends end up consuming the exact same API as we do, which is the biggest part of our cost and the issue we are having already now, it may be a problem. So maybe you will still have to run your own API, but that's for now. Like we haven't spec'd that out. But eventually, yeah, I mean, definitely, like you should, if you do a front end for base layer swap, there's absolutely no reason to don't also include at least parts, if not all, of the other feature. And the order book is kind of a non-brainer. So that's you want that. So absolutely. And the second question was about on-off ramp. And yes, actually, a while ago now, we struck a partnership, and we did everything. We did the KYC, KYB, signed the contract, and all that. Started the integration work with Banksa, which is a direct on-off ramp provider. So that's coming. It's really, again, just a matter of prioritization for now. Like there is like we much better be focused on nailing, like making the improvements for Fin for Registrate highlighted in the issue I created, like in the for Registrate v1.1, same thing for the IMM Rugi pools v1.1, and then do the base layer strategy and do at least one consolidated liquidity strategy. Those are the things we really need to be able to start to scale volumes, offer depth and a good spread on the book, and also offer the proper analytics with the APR for the pool, so we can also attract third-party LPs in all those pools to make markets. And by third-party LPs, I mean community member, like it's permissionless. No, I'm not talking about professional market makers. Those will hopefully come as well. We have a few changes planned for that, and I don't want to go too deep on that in this space. There's been longer already. I think it would be good to do another space where the topic is me walking you through the roadmap for the rest of the year. I think that could be a good one, but not for today. But so coming back to on-off ramp, yes, we have Banksa, and it's coming, and we will be able to do that directly, effectively, from your THORChain wallet to your bank account, back and forth. The downside is all those providers, we benchmarked the few, it's very expensive, like versus if you just go and you use a centralized exchange as an intermediary, that's much cheaper, because those guys, they rip you off on the FX they apply on your transaction. So they will sell you USDC for 90 cents of USD or something like that, like sometimes. So it's that's the downside, but it's super cool. Like it's super convenient, and it allows us to completely remove these middleware that are centralized exchange that are necessary for on and off ramp. It's also it will be like non-KYC below a certain threshold, a small threshold. I think it's 500 euros, something like that in Europe, and $500 in the US. But you can do small amounts without even having to KYC. For larger amounts, you will still have to KYC. That's the world in which we live. But you don't KYC with us. We don't want to have anything to do with KYC. You KYC with Banksa, with a partner, and then you can do your on and off ramping. And hopefully, as we scale, and we, not just us, but crypto scales, and more, there's more and more usage of this, we will see fee and or actually for rates, but yeah, fees from this on from provider contract, and hopefully we can offer something that is really at parity with centralized exchange eventually. But for now, that's the only downside of that. It's those guys, they take like a very, very hefty fee for the service.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, because like that's all we're really missing, right? To cut out the centralized exchanges. And like even if like people want a one-stop shop, right? You know, if they have to split their lives up between Rujira, THORChain, and Binance and Coinbase. Like it's just annoying, right? But if they can just go to Regi.trade and do everything there, and you've captured the user, the whole user experience, and just like THORChain is integrated in different wallets, like why there's different fiat on and off ramps to get integrated into different websites. So it's the same business model, and I'm convinced that over the next year or two, we're going to see a whole new wave of entrance into that space, with the Genius Act in the US. And that's just going to save the US dollar, right? They're going to pump stablecoins all over the world. And we're going to see fiat currencies, the satellite countries, basically collapse into the dollar through stablecoins. So I got to think it's going to get much easier and much cheaper to get in and out of stablecoins. Yeah, there's going to be KYC and all that baloney. We can't avoid that, right? But and actually, I would never even touch a platform that's KYC light or doesn't offer any, doesn't ask for any. I'd be actually very scared of using a fiat platform like that. When it comes to fiat, you should want the platform that asks for KYC and then it's legit and they're not going to rug you. But
on that
yeah.
topic, we have different sensitivities. I think I'm more like you. Like for I would not be comfortable doing any large amount at least without a KYC platform, because anyway it's going back to the banking world and they will know exactly who I am. So I may as well not take the risk. But there are people who want to keep the fully decentralized experience from end to end, and there is a project. So it's a community-driven project, so they are not moving super fast, but they are moving. It's called Local Money. So it used to be called Local. They rebranded as Coral after some internal complications, and they are still building. I wasn't sure they were, and I had an exchange with them earlier today, actually. And so what they are doing is an on-off ramp, peer-to-peer on-off ramp. And the way it works is, so of course it adds a lot full layer of risk, because that means like you have to send crypto to an escrow account, and the other person has to send the bank transfer and all that. So you need a code system and all those things. So I think it's a fairly it's not for everyone, but for people who really want to keep this end-to-end, you may have this option down the line. I'm still not sure how. I mean, at the end, you still interact with the banking world, so one way or another, you get docs anyway. But at least you don't rely on the big corporation to do that. So there are some people working on this too.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But
that will not be for everyone. That would not be we need the banks we need this type of integrator for the big bucks. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's fine for smaller players, but if somebody's moving millions around, I don't think it's going to.
Yeah, it's a non-starter.
And and then banks always have questions: where this money come from, blah blah, and you got to just be able to answer them, and they want to see the trail.
Yeah, it will certainly not work if you do any big amount. Yeah.
So okay, why Banksa? How did you guys settle on them?
It's one of the biggest around, and just looking at rates and checking around, it was a mix of they were offering among the best rates, and they were faster to react, easier to deal with. So it was the one we pushed with. In the future, if we see usage and if we find another provider that could provide better rates, then we could absolutely change. And you could also have offer the same service from the THORChain interface, but with a different provider, for example, and that's also create redundancy and give people an alternative. So I think it should not be exclusive in any part of the stack.
Can US persons use Banksa?
Sorry? US persons. Yeah, they can. That's also why we pick them. They have the widest coverage I could see. They operate in. I have the full list, but I think it's 130 countries or something, pretty much all over the planet. So and US included.
Are they? I'm sorry. Are they a real bank, or is it a neobank, or is it it's like a fintech company? I don't know.
I don't think they have a banking license, but they are like working with big banks in the backend. They are like one of the largest provider of this type of service, like MetaMask, 1inch, whatever, all those big protocol on EVM chains that offer on-off ramp. Usually they work with them.
Is this an Australian bank? Am I? What?
Yeah,
What?
yeah, actually, they are Australia based. Maybe they have a banking license in Australia.
It's BANKSA.com.
No, BANXA.
Oh, BANXA.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, here it is. Oh, okay, I see it. Sorry, my bad. There's a BANKSA, BANKSA. It's a Bank of Southern Australia. That's what I thought you
Because
were talking
I
about.
think they are also Australia. Actually, I'm pretty sure they are also Australia based. So maybe
Okay.
it's actually a subsidiary or something like that, because the name is
Okay.
curiously similar.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, I think that should be the goal for the THORChain front end, to eventually have everything Rujira is doing, just slap the THORChain logos on it all. Have a Fiat on and off ramp too. And then, we just have a friendly competition. We're both making money the same way. And, if like, this is the thing, like with the marketing, if we're finding stuff that works, like copy left, like have at her, guys. Like everybody else,
Yeah,
go
no,
copy it. Go apply it yourselves. The more we all put our heads together to grow this pie, it's gonna grow.
absolutely. Like I could not agree more. For me, like that's like some different people in the team have a bit different views on that. But personally, I'm all in for having alternative front ends, just almost copy pasting and just changing the logo and doing that. It's so in my previous life, I used to be an M&A banker. I was covering this particular consumer and retail companies, and a big chunk of that were food companies. And it's very interesting, their model, like all those Mondelez and Kellogg's and Pepsi Cola as well. They are all like actually big food companies. The way it works is many of the brands we know and use, and we think we have the choice, is just an illusion. It's an illusion of choice. The shareholder is always the same holder. They own like 115 different brands, but all the flow of money, all the profits flow back to the same shareholders. And that's exactly, I think, the model to replicate. For the better or for the worst, at least it's what has been working. And a lot of the M&A activity of those guys is just finding any new what's the name, like a niche brand, like a boutique brand, something that looks fancy and authentic and natural, and just buy it out and plug it in their distribution network, which is massive, and just let's ride the wave of people still thinking it's a small company-owned business, and being willing to pay a premium for that, while actually now it's part of the same machine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it makes a ton of sense.
It happens in the beer industry too. Like you'll have like literally
exactly.
the exact same beer, the exact same recipe, just sold to different brands, and they just slap their own logo on it and their own branding. It's the exact same beer between them all, and they're just marketing it different ways.
Yeah, I've been Bev, Sam Miller, and a few. I think those two own already like 70% of the market or something like that. It's crazy. It's but thousands of brands. So yeah, it makes total sense. Like I think it's a good model.
Oh, I do have a question, and guys, I'll quickly. I should have said this in the beginning. It'll be there next time. If you go to your Telegram, whether the trading, the price discussion, or the regular Rujira chat, if you want to put in a question to have answer, please do that now. I do have a question for you, Pragmatic Monkey. The question is from R. He says, any plans for an app similar to Venmo that abstracts away Rujira experience to help onboard normies? Station Wallet will need something similar to what was being built by Alice during the Luna days. You want to answer that?
So Venmo is remind me. It's it's a card, right? It's a card attached
It's
to.
it's a payment app. So everyone in the US has it. So you connect your US bank account to it, and then you have friends, and you
Okay, yeah.
can send or request money from someone. So it's like whenever you go for dinner, you know, instead of like everyone will just kind of settle up on WhatsApp instead of moving cash around. And yes, it's a really easy way to send cash between people. It's like texting
Okay.
cash.
We have a few of those in Europe as well, and we have also well, Revolut, of course, who does similar things. Yeah, no, I mean nobody's building that, but that's a very cool stuff to build. We could either down the road integrate something like that. Actually, we discussed that, I remember, a while back. But we could either integrate it directly into stations. That's a possibility, or somebody could build an alternative simplified, because station will be at the end like offering the full access to the ecosystem. Or so either we do an easy mode on it with just a few simplified feature, or there is an opportunity for somebody to create a very streamlined version of it that could focus on payment. Like both model works, and with a referral model, there is actually even a path to do that and monetize without increasing the cost for end user.
Isn't Mocha doing this? Is Eric around? Patriot, do you know?
I don't know if it's exactly like that, but you know, there's some alpha on Mocha that I don't know, but I've heard whispers, something like that.
I can speak to that a little bit.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're doing some work with Mocha, but essentially, without giving away any behind the detail, behind the scenes details, yes, that is kind of like the if we think about Venmo or kind of these person-to-person fiat enabled and also credit enabled payment systems that are a little bit more from the traditional finance world, or kind of the Web 2 finance world, right? Online, but that is kind of like the vertical that Mocha is building for. We are going to work with them to make it as interoperable as possible, so as much asset compatibility as humanly possible. But yes, Mocha, I was wondering if Mocha was going to come up in this conversation, but to my knowledge, they are the ones building stuff exactly like that, and definitely worth dropping them a line and learning more about what they're doing. They've been quite secret, rare for the
very
space.
secretive. I asked
they've
once,
been
I
quite
remember,
secretive.
and it wasn't the right time. But it looks super cool. Like I look forward to learn more.
And a lot of that will come also, fortunately or unfortunately, a lot of that will come with. There's a whole certifications and money transmitter licenses and kind of the regulatory hoops you have to hop through in order to be approved for all of that, and then it will be dependent on what jurisdictions you can operate in. But assuming it's kind of one of those things where it's like you can't just spin up a money transmitter license easily in the United States. So it's a question of if they really do take the time to, and I believe they are, to jump through the regulatory hoops. That is quite a big advantage, because those things are difficult, at least now. So I'm very bullish on Mocha, and yeah, DKit is we're in chats with them.
Very cool. I message Eric. He's a busy guy. He's got children, so if he can pop up, great. Kenton, were you trying to say something?
I'll say some more alpha on these spaces, guys, even after 2.5 hours. And Eric from Mocha is going to be on September 20th. Mocha's doing like a launch. So we penciled him in for that Saturday. So I'm sure that's when he can speak more openly about stuff like this. So tune in for that, guys.
Bring in the alpha, Kenton. That's what we do here. We just squeeze the alpha out of these people. I love it. Great job, everybody. I've got some more questions. People are asking questions now. So pragmatic. Severin wants to know, is for news regarding the upcoming BTC minted stablecoin, if you can talk about that.
Sorry, can you? Sorry, I wasn't listening. Can you repeat that?
You're okay. Severin wants to know for news regarding the upcoming Bitcoin minted stablecoin.
Well, this will be unlocked by credit accounts. We haven't worked the detail yet, but once we have credit accounts, we'll put some more thoughts into that. This is the main piece of infrastructure required here is really just a credit account. The rest will be fairly easy.
Okay, cool. I was typing out your response in real time, so I'm like typing like a maniac. Okay, I got another question here. Okay, I'm trying to figure out. So there was a post, some Discord, I don't know if this is a Rujira Discord, something about how a private crypto angel investor released a report onto Friends, something with Kita will do a presentation in front of the biggest hedge funds, angel investors, and more in the coming days regarding Rujira. Something you know about? Can you comment on it?
No, I have seen the same rumors slash tweets. I have really no intel on that. It's somebody doing, it's just public information we saw all on Twitter. No specific angle there.
Okay, another question. They're coming in. Thank you. By the way, guys, thank you. I want to get all questions figured out now, right? This is your space. So guys, go to the Telegram. We got Monkey up here.
Well, actually, I sorry guys, but I just I got a ton to do. I see stuff piling up. So if we could wrap this up,
yes,
not
absolutely.
too long, I would really much appreciate.
Oh, absolutely, brother. Thank you, and I appreciate your time, Monkey. I know this goes a long time. Next question: any update for the meetup in London on the 19th of September?
Well, it's happening, so I hope we see a lot of people coming in. If you are for either the THORChain or Rujira community, it's the best opportunity we have to meet in real life. If you live anywhere in Europe and London is not too far from you, just come and say hi, and that's pretty much the only update there is to give.
Perfect. Okay, I don't see anything else, and I'm really not sure if I should ask anything else because I want to be respectful of your time. Kenton, do you have anything additional?
No, I'm good. I'm happy to wrap it up too. Anybody else?
Yeah, one last call to the speakers on stage, DKit, Rio. If you got anything else, please. If not, we'll go ahead and wrap her.
No, cheers, dudes. Really awesome talking to you, and bullish Saturday for everybody. Look at that Ruji price.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, pragmatic. You're doing something right, man. So I know it's hard. You're like the central figure of all the information. So, but I hope that pump really makes you feel good. I think you guys are doing great. It's a hard thing what you guys are doing, and I just want to say we're all like encouraging you. And if you need anything at all, anything we can do to help you, we'll lovely do that. You're doing a hell of a job, man, and you do a great job answering a lot of questions.
You too, guys. I mean, you're already doing tons, and thanks a lot, everyone. And enjoy the pump. It's very nice when this happens. So happy Saturday, and take care.
Goodbye, buddy. Okay, Kenton, I guess I'll just go ahead and wrap it up there. We have some spaces coming up, you guys. The next space, that is going to be August 23rd. That's going to be Chad Bearford. So that's going to be really, really cool. We're going to have lots of updates regarding like rapid swaps and all the innovations coming. So that will be an awesome space. Following that, we're going to have Baloney Bones from the THORChain community Discord. He's going to be giving an update. And we got a lot of things to discuss there regarding, the front end and plans that we have to really make this a homogenous system. And, of course, all these, we're going to be talking about Rujira, I'm sure, plenty of times in all these spaces. It's almost hard to separate them, to be honest with you, because there's a lot of cross-blending now. After that, we got an interesting one. Kenton and I did a space with the Bitcoin Cash community with WAGME. That was an absolutely banger of a space, you guys. We had a great time. Those guys are freaking awesome. The Bitcoin Cash people are just like our ethos. I had such a great time with them. In fact, I'm probably going to go to Singapore and meet them in real life. Very, very cool guys. So we're going to have them so far on September 6th. That'll be that one. September 13th, to be determined. That one's an open one. We'll see what that comes there. And then as Kenton said earlier, we're going to have Eric with Mocha. That's going to be on the eve of the release of Mocha going live. So that's very exciting. So we can address that Venmo question there at that time. And I know DKit mentioned a little bit of that. And then the following week, September 27th, write this one down, you guys. September 27th, we're going to have a Hans only space, Hans only. So it's going to be me, Kenton, and literally him, because that guy is so busy. We want to make sure that it's just him speaking. So, because he's really constrained on time and we want to maximize the time that we have with him. So please have questions available. Me and Kenton, of course, are going to interview him. We're going to let him talk about whatever he wants to talk about. But during that time, we'll try to have as many questions answered by Hans, okay? And we'll see what happens in that space, but I'm really excited for that. Kenton, do you have anything you want to add to that before we close? No, I don't think so. Very good. I know Kenton's probably off doing things. That's totally fine. Okay, guys, thank you so much. This was a banger of a space. Rujira, I hope you guys are really excited about the price action. I think that is just the beginning. And remember, THORChain friends, if you're not holding Rujira, I don't know what you're doing. And similar to the Rujirans, make sure that you get some RUNE too. We are the same community now. Our futures are aligned. I've been working really hard to push Rujira as much as I possibly can. I'm going to keep doing that. I want everyone to grow. I want everyone to be successful, whether you're DKIT, any interface, I don't care. It's time to go, you guys. The wind is in our sails. Let's effing go. I'm so pumped up. Thank you guys so much. We're going to wrap it there. Hope everyone has the rest of your weekend. I'll go ahead and kick it to the TC intern. Feel free to exit the space. Thank care, guys. Bye-bye.